Several years.
Everyone good?
It's a little scary out there. It's kind of.
We're going to call this meeting to order December 16th, 2025. Please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, good morning, everyone. We do have a quorum present this morning with all 5 commissioners in attendance. Commissioners, we do need to amend the agenda this morning. We had an issue arise that we will need to take up an executive session for potential litigation. And so with that, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Jones. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Toman. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. I'd like to recognize Senator Jones for joining us this morning. And one quick announcement, we had a little bit of confusion on the advertisement for the public hearing on the liquor license application for 374 Liquor. That does need to follow suit with the public hearing process. I believe in the paper it was advertised for 9:10 this morning. When we created the agenda, we put it under the action and presentation items, which is slated for 11:50. So how we're going to accomplish that is we'll have 2. That way, if there's people here now that would like to get up and speak to it, we'll allow for that under the county resident comments and concerns portion of the agenda. And then you can either come back or we will again resume at that agenda item. It's slated for 11:50. We never know exactly when we're going to get to some of those items, but if we're early or late, we'll allow for more or less 2 public hearings so that the public has a chance to speak to their thoughts on that application itself. So just wanted to be upfront about that. For any confusion, we apologize for that, but we will try and get through it with a couple different public hearings before acting on that. So with that, we'll get to the public hearing process of a budget amendment, which is tab A. Commissioners, there's resolution 25-12-CL-02. A budget amendment to transfer $5,500 from the Capital Projects Fund for the facilities van line item to the General County Administration for equipment line item. And joining us this morning is Accounting Specialist Rebecca Romero. Good morning.
Yes, this amendment transfers $5,500 from the underspent facilities van capital project to purchase a document scanner for the General County admin. The scanner will support the countywide record scanning project and replace equipment that is no longer functional. This amendment does not increase the total budget and there is no impact to the general fund reserves.
Very good. Thanks, Rebecca. Any questions on the amendment, commissioners? None. We do need to open this up for a public hearing. So at this time, if there's anyone online or in the audience that would like to speak to this amendment, now would be the appropriate time. Seeing and hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Jones.
move to approve resolution 25-12-CL-02, budget amendment in the amount of $5,500.
Have a motion to approve resolution 25-12-CL-02 by Commissioner Jones. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Richards. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Thanks, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. It's going to move us right along into tab B, which is additional public hearings for the Planning and Zoning Department. First is the notice of intent for the language amendments to the 2015 Sweetwater Resolution Section 3J1 zoning permit fees, 5F, the district use chart, 11D, parking regulations table, 19E, short-term rentals, and 21 for definitions. And joining us this morning is County Planner Cassidy Brown. Good morning, Cassidy.
Good morning, and thank you, Mr. Chair. So those sections are the ones that I'm looking to do some amendments on today. I did work with P&Z Commissioners Sheehan and Cordova on this as well, so just would like to give them a little extra thanks for their time with working with me on these amendments. First, for our review criteria for the language amendments, the first one is that the language amendment is consistent and compatible with the current resolution and the comprehensive plan. The purpose of this language amendment is mostly to further allow for the orderly economic growth in compliance with the comprehensive plan through the provision of regulations for short-term rentals. This is being proposed in response to several resident inquiries that we've had about short-term rentals, Airbnbs, VRBOs, those types of things. And we just want to make sure that we're being proactive in making sure that there's resolution or regulations on the books to guide how we want these to be established in the county. So here, first thing that I am proposing is to amend the zoning permits to change the fee schedule there from $50 to $100. This is something that's more in line with the rest of the counties in Wyoming. $50 was very low comparatively. 100 to 150 seemed to be fairly common with others on the higher end, but this looks about middle ground and more appropriate. Moving on, I did adjust or am proposing an adjustment to the district use chart. This would add short-term rentals to the lodging category and list it as a permitted use across all residential zoning districts as well as the agricultural zoning district. And then the next spot is in section 19. So this would be adding entirely a section on short-term rentals in the regulations. All right, and so short-term rental permits shall comply with all applicable zoning district and development standards of the development codes. We want to make sure that no person shall offer a short-term rental on their property without first obtaining a short-term rental permit. Also, I did abbreviate short-term rental permit to STRP, so I don't have to keep repeating that whole mouthful there. But a short-term rental permit is a non-discretionary administrative permit that's going to be issued by the land use office for the rental of a dwelling unit or portion thereof to be used as lodging for periods of less than 30 days. Short-term rental does not include house swap, home exchange arrangement, or a sublet situation. The initial issuance of a STRP is going to require the following. So I modeled this very similarly to how the county is already regulating temporary hardship exceptions to the regulations, where public notice will be posted on the property for 14 days, giving the adjacent property owners an opportunity to speak and get any comments that they need to be addressed out and aware so that any issues may be mitigated. If we do not receive any reasonable comments or concerns regarding the permit or the short-term rental there, then the land use staff would move forward with the permitting process. However, if there are reasonable concerns that can't be mitigated, then we would open it up to the public hearing process and have it handled that way so that all voices are heard and issues are mitigated. In order to be issued a short-term rental permit, we will be asking also that a completed short-term rental application is submitted. The short-term rental fee is paid, which will be that $100 zoning permit fee. Completed and signed short-term rental inspection affidavit. We would have county fire warden and code enforcement officer Alan Adams go out and just do a fire inspection on the property to make sure that that's up to fire code. And then we would also need proof that there's a permitted small wastewater system or central sewage disposal if that's available. For renewal of a short-term rental property, that will be occurring every year. So the short-term rental permit would be valid for a period of 1 year from the time that it was approved. And then in order to renew the permit, I'm proposing a $50 short-term rental permit application fee. The land use staff will be reviewing each application in a timely manner, but we do have in here that it should be understood that there may be delays or denial of issuance of renewal in the cases where an application has expired before they renewed it. Also, if a incomplete renewal application was turned in, and if there have been valid formal complaints written that are on file for the property or violations of county regulations on the property, those are things that we would consider before deciding to renew a permit. The property owner would also be required to, oh, sorry, I skipped ahead. I apologize on that. If the land use department does deny a permit, then the owner and applicant will be notified in writing and the final decision of the final decision and reason for the denial. And then, of course, they can appeal our decision pursuant to the appeals process that is already spelled out in the county zoning resolution. 5 moves us into the conditions that shall apply to all short-term rental properties. And I took the first 7 from our conditional use permit applications. Those same requirements would be required to be met there. And then to go into specifics regarding the actual operation of the short-term rentals, the operator shall ensure that the short-term rental is used in a manner that complies with all applicable laws, rules, and regulations, contractual agreements, and covenants pertaining to the use and occupancy of a short-term rental. Then number 9 is that the owner must designate a local property representative who shall be available 24 hours a day, 7 days per week, for the purpose of responding to within 1 hour to complaints regarding the condition, operation, or conduct of occupants of the short-term rental and taking remedial action to resolve any such complaints in a timely manner. This was something that we did discuss quite a bit at the P&Z hearing. So some were concerned that 1 hour is much too short of a time to be able to respond. And we do understand that, you may not be able to actually physically go out to the location within 1 hour, but to at least address the issue, make it known via text. So we did add this in after the hearing, that the representative should respond via phone call, text, or email within 1 hour. That way, because sometimes with short-term rentals, an occupant may only be staying for a night or 2, the issue is resolved in a timely manner so that adjacent property owners are not affected. 10, the name, address, and telephone number of the property owner and representative shall be on file at the county. 11, short-term rental unit owners are subject to and responsible for collecting and remitting all applicable taxes, specifically including the sales and lodging tax. Number 12 is regarding the parking spaces that will be required. So I did have it listed that we were going to be requesting an amendment to the parking chart that is in section 12, or sorry, section 11.d. However, after kind of thinking this through, at first looking at other regulations, I kind of had based it on that and went with requiring 1 off-street parking space per room that's available, but I did think that that was a bit much. And really to fit with the zoning and the resolutions that we already have in place, I thought we would just have each zoning district's currently standing requirements for parking just be upheld. So you would just have the same amount of parking that's required. So then that wouldn't be too much of an issue for people that are looking to do that. Let's see, 13 is tents, trailers, campers, and recreational vehicles may not be used as short-term rentals. 14, no short-term rentals shall be permitted within 1,000 feet, including public right-of-way of a school building in which children attend classes measured from the center point of each school building. This is, my thinking on that is to avoid too much traffic in school zones, basically, and then also just to make sure that school zones are kind of being kept safe from people who the neighbors don't, know and things like that. And then 15 was also a spot that we discussed quite heavily in the P&Z commission hearing. regarding the density of permitted short-term rentals. So the way it's written now is that 2 short-term rentals shall be permitted within 1 block on the same street in any residential zone. That was something that the P&Z Commission did feel was too restrictive, and they wondered if we could maybe word it to where it was dealt with on a case-by-case basis after that. So I did add the additional wording that additional applications for a short-term rental within 1 block on the same street in any residential zone shall be considered through the public hearing process as a conditional use. Because, certain factors such as lot size, and just zoning, things like that could change the appropriateness of having additional Airbnbs or VRBOs in an area. And then the final condition that I had in place here is that short-term rental permits are non-transferable. If somebody wants to get one, they'll just have to go through the process. And the last proposal that I'm adding is just adding the term short-term rental to our definitions and defining it as the rental of a dwelling unit or portion thereof to be used as lodging for periods of less than 30 days. Short-term rental does not include a house swap, home exchange arrangement, or sublet situation. And at the P&Z Commission hearing, the P&Z board did vote 5-0 to recommend the language amendments with the additions that I spoke about earlier to condition 15. And that is all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Cassie. Appreciate the explanation on those. Any questions on the amendments, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Slaughter.
Cassidy, just one quick clarification, because at the planning and zoning hearing, obviously there were questions with respect to condition number 15. Did you speak, because if I'm not mistaken, the vote was taken prior to the amendments, but that there would be amendments made on condition 15. Did you speak with the planning and zoning members on those, and are you comfortable with that change that was made?
So I did not send that to them. I just tried to based off of summarized what they had spoken about in the hearing. Yes.
That seems to summarize what the general feeling of the P&Z members were, but I just wondered it on that. So thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Toman.
could you state for the public when the public comment period will end in the process, and how you're going to advertise and reach out to the county residents?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Commissioner Tillman. So it would be once we have the completed permit submitted to the land use department, then what I'm proposing is that we would post a public notice sign on the property that is being proposed to have a short-term rental on it. That would be on the property for 14 days, and it would have our contact information on it, where we would list, what they're proposing to do with the property and also how they can submit a public or a comment to us.
That
for
wasn't
that.
my
So it'd be
question.
14 days. Oh,
My question was, how is the public going to be able to respond to these regulations?
So
I'm sorry. No, I was okay. No,
Good
no, thank you.
explanation, but yes. Before you
So,
get to that.
yes,
part.
no, thank you. So after, there's a 45-day comment period after today. If this notice of intent is approved, then a 45-day comment period will begin, and comments can be sent to the land use department regarding any concerns or questions that they may have with what's being proposed here. And then after those 45 days, then we would have another hearing where they would potentially be adopted if all goes well.
So then it would go through P&Z then before it came back to the commission, or it goes?
It would just come back
Public
to the
hearing back.
commission. Yes.
And you would make the changes if you saw fit before it came to us?
Yes, that's
But
correct.
it wouldn't go back through P&Z then with the changes?
No.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
any other questions or comments on the amendments? And so just for clarity on that, Cassidy, so the permit they apply for, it's just an annual permit. And if they have multiple residents, then it would just be obviously per residence.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Any other questions, comments? If not, we are going to open this up for a public hearing at this time for the notice of intent for the proposed language amendments. If there's anyone online or in the audience that would like to speak to those, the floor is open. And just to reiterate, this is a notice of intent to amend these, and so there statutorily is a process of 45 days to allow for public comment. So if anyone's bashful this morning, you have 45 days to review and submit those to land use, and we'll take it up at the conclusion of that. Seeing and hearing none, we'll go ahead and close that public hearing. And commissioners, what's your pleasure? Commissioners, I'd entertain a motion to approve the notice of intent for the language amendments as proposed.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Slaughter. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all is in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Thanks, Cassidy. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Second item under tab B is the certified resolution to the 2015 Sweetwater County Zoning Resolution 25-12-CC-01, Section 7, 17, and 21. And at this time, we'll hand it over to Land Use Director Eric Bingham. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Commissioner Tillman, this is the second step in the process. That's the first step, and this is what happens after the 45 days. So, on October 21st, the Board of County Commissioners announced their notice of intent to amend the zoning resolution. What I have before you, the 45-day comment period has ended, and we are proposing amendments to the conditional use permit for solar energy facilities and wind energy conversion systems, amendments to that. Just to remind you, the changes that were made. One is to make them more consistent with each other. The wind and solar were inconsistent as far as some of the wildlife regulations and sage grouse restrictions. So we added, and to address concerns with migration corridors, some of the issues that we had with the solar energy facility that went in with the antelope migration corridor and the issues that happened with that. So now they need to coordinate better with the Wyoming Game and Fish. And also that they would take into consideration and significant adverse impacts. We have a definition of what that is, of what significant adverse impacts are, that there will not be any significant wildlife impacts with either wind or solar generation. And also adverse impacts are addressed. So we know that those are going to happen, and we are putting restrictions in there that they do implement mitigation measures with that. So also added into there is that they follow the Wyoming governor's sage grouse executive order. And then as far as the wind generation facilities, and then we also put we did not have any development regulations for met towers, those are those meteorologic towers that go in that measure wind when someone is looking at potentially putting in a wind generation farm, that we actually have permit requirements for those. We didn't have those before. So, and then also we've added into the regulations reclamation requirements and abandonment and addressing those with met towers. So, Mr. Chairman, I did reach out to both the development companies that were looking at wind generation farms out east, and they had no comments. So they did receive them. They did receive the amendments, and there were no comments received. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Just ask that Board of County Commissioners certify Resolution 2512 CC01.
Very good. Thanks, Eric. So no other public feedback on?
None.
Okay. Questions or comments on the resolution, commissioners? I don't remember. Do we have to have a public hearing or do we already? Okay.
For sure, yes.
All right. So we do need to open this up for public hearing at this time. If there's anyone online or in the audience that would like to speak to the certified resolution before us. Seeing and hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve Resolution 25-12-CC-01, which has proposed language amendments to the 2015 Sweetwater County zoning resolution, Section 7 conditional use permit, which is solar energy facilities, Section 17 wind energy conversion systems, and Section 21 definitions.
Thanks, Commissioner. We do have a motion to approve Resolution 25-12-CC-01 by Commissioner Slaughter. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. Thanks, Eric. Appreciate all the work on that. This is going to bring us right along into the county resident comments and concerns portion of the agenda. We limit this to 3 minutes, and at this time, if there's anyone in the audience or online that would like to address the governing body on any issues, now is the appropriate time. And good morning, Senator Jones.
Good morning, Stacy Jones, Senate District 13. I just wanted to come and talk just about a couple things real quick this morning. One thing I know, a lot of things are going to be coming up about the property taxes and the bills and the different bills we're going to be looking at. So I want to make sure that you all know that I'm open for any discussions on that. And I'd love to hear what your constituents have to say as well. Try to be as informed as possible about what the residents of Sweetwater County really want to happen this year on legislature, not just the property tax, but all of the bills that are going through. Couple of things. I do have a bill that I'm putting through. It's actually a brainstorm of Treasurer Cowan, and it is for car titles. So if you have bought a vehicle for possibly a minor child or something, and you want to transfer it over to them after they turn 18, you don't have to pay the fees and everything. So basically, it's just to help families out that are just transferring cars amongst themselves. Some of the other things that are coming up at session that we're going to keep an eye on is the airport funding. I am one of the chairmen of the Air Transportation Committee, and we are coming due with funding that the state gives to the smaller airports. I think there's only 2 in the state that don't get funding from the state, and I believe that's Jackson and Gillette. But all the rest of the airports do need some funding in order to continue with their operations. And as I'm sure you guys all know, that livability in all these communities does depend on their airports. BLM, RMP, saw, I think, all of you at the meetings last week, and I want you to know that I am continuing working on that in conjunction with all of you. I have spoken with our congressional delegation, specifically Barrasso and Hageman, and we'll continue to work with them until we can get a good outcome for Sweetwater County. There are a few senators that are also very supportive of us, and if we need to go to Washington, D.C. again to sit in the seats and talk with them firsthand, willing to make that happen, and they're willing to support us. Coming up this summer is the celebration for the 250th celebration for the Declaration of Independence. And I kind of had a brainstorm about a side-by-side across the state. I know you have all signed in to the SWAT program to try to get more tourists here and get them to unload their side-by-sides and ride all over and stay longer in our community to help out with tourism. And this is kind of just another way to show people that we can ride all across the state. So on July 1st, we're going to start in Evanston. This is kind of tentative plans, actually, but we're hoping to start on July 1st in Evanston, Wyoming. Everybody will unload their side-by-sides. It will be open to the public, I think, 50 vehicles. So if you can fit 4 in, that's fine, but 4 people in your vehicle. But we'll start in Evanston. We're going to stay the second night here in Rock Springs. The third night, we've had to make a few changes. I think we might end up in Rollins or Saratoga. We were hoping for bags, but I think that community is just not going to be able to accommodate up to 200 people to stay the night there. So I think we are looking at more of Saratoga or Rollins. And then the next night we'll stay in Laramie, and we will end up 4th of July on the Capitol steps in Cheyenne. So it should be a fun time, and we're hoping that a lot of people will come out and support us along the way. It will be open for an online registration. So I think it's $100 a person, and that's just kind of cover some of the specifics. We are working with Wyoming State Trails on this, and also Sweetwater Snowpokes is helping out as well. And I think that was most of the things. If you have any questions, then I'd be happy to answer them.
Questions or comments, commissioners? Everyone's getting off easy today so far, but no, we certainly appreciate you coming over and for your openness to work with us, and we'll look forward to what this session brings. Yeah, sounds like some exciting times, and I think it's going to be a busy season for you. So we will be in touch, and we'll certainly be down there in February when it kicks off, and just appreciate the ongoing working relationship we have with you. So thanks for
Thank
coming
you.
over to see us.
I do apologize. I'm not going to be able to stay for the whole entire meeting because I do have to work today, but thank you very much.
It's like an easy out, but we'll accept. Thank you, Senator. Appreciate it. Still open if there's anyone else.
Liquor, or is that going to be a separate?
We can do it because we advertised it. You can start now. We'll do another one when we get to that agenda item, but because you're here, I don't want
I think
to tell you, no, you have to sit around for a couple hours. So.
I have work as well. Thank you, Commissioner, Chairman West, Commissioners, Angela Wilson. I didn't realize the time change, so I would not be able to stay later. So thank you. I do live out in the county west of Green River, and I am in favor of 307 liquor. I've talked to the owners. They've proposed, which they said, yes, it's in the very beginning stages of kind of what they want to do with the red, not necessarily red barn, the red building, everybody calls it. But I am in favor of this. They want to open a business. It's not like it's a drive-through liquor and it's a free-for-all out there. I know that's a concern of some residents. It's a business. It fits with somewhat everything else going on. We have no issues with the campground that sells, beer and wine out there. You have Love's. I'm sure we're going to have Maverick that sells alcohol. They're wanting to do more of a business and some higher end wines, champagne, different things like that. If they feel like they can run the business and we can support it, as a resident out there, I'm in favor. So I'd just like to speak on that.
Very good. Thanks, Angela.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Comments? Thanks for coming over this morning. Anyone else? This floor is still open. Public comment. Once again, just to be repetitive, we'll readdress the public hearing when we get to the 374 liquors agenda item. So with that, we will close the county resident comments and concerns portion of the agenda. And that's going to move us right along into the consent agenda. Before you this morning, Commissioners, are 6 items under the consent agenda. The first being the approval of the December 2nd, 2025 meeting minutes. Second is the approval of the county vouchers, the warrants, expenditure approval listing, and the Commissioner's report. Third is the approval of the abates and rebates. Fourth is the approval of the monthly reports. Fifth is the approval of the federal fiscal year 2026 Community Services Block Grant Contract for the YWCA's Victims Advocacy Center. I'll get it. And lastly, item number 6 is a request to restaff vacant positions in the Sheriff's Office and the Detention Center. With that, Commissioners, I would ask if there are any requests to remove any items off of the consent agenda for further discussion. I would ask that we remove from the Commissioner's report and expenditure approval listing the warrants to Vaughn's Plumbing and Heating. And with that, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Got a motion by Commissioner Toman. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Richards. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. I would then entertain a motion to approve the warrant number 129003 to Vaughn's Plumbing and Heating. Motion by Commissioner Richards. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Slaughter. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. I'm going to abstain as that is the place in which I'm employed. It's going to move us right along into Commissioner comments. And Commissioner Slaughter, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the 3rd, I, along with each of you, attended the Rock Springs RMP Public Scoping Meeting. It was an opportunity to meet State Director Chris Kirby and have further discussion of the RMP with BLM representatives, other stakeholders, and concerned citizens. On the 5th, I met with County HR Director Gary McLean and Joe Olivas of Southwest Wyoming Manufacturing Partnership to begin discussions of a possible internship program between local educational facilities and Sweetwater County. The basic structure of such an agreement was discussed with a general consensus that such a program would be beneficial for both students and the county. We agreed that it would be best to try to start small and see how the concept works. We've scheduled a meeting with representatives of School District Number 2 after the first of the year. Later that afternoon, I met with Brittany Wilson of McGee, Hearn & Pies to finalize the information and questions necessary for completion of the fiscal 25 annual audit of the 2023 Specific Purpose Tax Joint Powers Board. Brittany and I discussed the particulars of this year's audit, and she informed me of their progress. She was scheduled to do the audit presentation for the board at the December 8th general meeting and let me know that there was one report she was waiting for from the trustee bank and that she would only be able to present a preliminary audit report on the 8th. She assured me that the audit was a clean audit but could not be finalized until she received that last requested report, which she once again was not concerned would affect the results of the audit. On the 6th, I joined Commissioners West and Richards for the annual Rock Springs Chamber Lighted Parade. Chairman West, his son Cash, and I rode in the back of a new Chevrolet pickup truck decorated and provided by Whistler Chevrolet while being chauffeured by Commissioner Richards and my wife, Mariella. While it was a little cold, it was a lot of fun. I thought there was a great turnout from the community and that there were many excellent entries in the parade. Great thanks to Whistler Chevrolet for providing our ride and to Rick Lee and the Rock Springs Chamber for inviting us to enjoy a great parade and holiday tradition. On the 8th, I spent the afternoon preparing for the Specific Purpose Tax Joint Powers Board meeting and then conducted the regular monthly meeting. We had a full agenda with regular monthly requisition approvals, a presentation from the town of Jamestown on their progress, and the presentation of the fiscal 25 annual audit. Brittany Wilson of McGee, Hearn & Pies gave a preliminary audit report and will be finalizing the report this week. She did reference that the audit would be considered a clean audit. I will provide hard copies of the audit for commissioners when we receive the final audit. McGee, Hearn & Pies also provided the information for Administrative Assistant Allison Valsic to complete the F-32 form required by the Wyoming Department of Audit, and that was remitted, which should have the Joint Powers Board back in compliance with the Department of Audit. The board also approved payment of an invoice from the Moody's rating service for the original rating, which was necessary for the sale of the bonds. This invoice had been mistakenly sent to the county, and that was taken care of in the amount of $1,000. Collections this month were $1,535,119.59. The total collected thus far is $46,141,065.78, or 57.11% of the total to be collected. Joint Powers Board member and Green River City Councilman Gary Kilpack also stated he was not at all pleased with the way the Board of County Commissioners handled the discussion of the potential future 6 penny initiatives and asked that I relay that information to you. After further discussion with him, I believe he felt better and had a somewhat different perspective. The regular meeting of Star Transit Board was canceled for this month, and a director's report was scheduled for their annual meeting and Christmas party on the 11th. On the 10th, I attended the regular monthly meeting of the Sweetwater County Planning and Zoning Board. The board heard and unanimously approved language amendments as we heard earlier. On the 11th, I attended the Star Transit annual meeting and Christmas party. Director Pacheco gave his report as he is presenting for us this morning. I will not steal his thunder. I'll leave that for him. On the 13th, Marielle and I attended the annual Muley Fanatics Foundation Cowboy Christmas Ball. The event was sold out early and very well attended. The meal was provided by Santa Fe Trail and was very good. Entertainment was provided by Dueling Pianos, who were fantastic. If you ever get a chance to see Dueling Pianos, go and see them. It was absolutely wonderful. They're just absolutely amazing energy and some true musical and entertainment talent. I spent yesterday afternoon preparing for this meeting and will attend the Pulse of Southwest Wyoming meeting tonight. Tomorrow night, I'll attend the regular monthly meeting of the Museum Board and will, with that, have completed my liaison assignments for this month. I have a few assorted meetings scheduled between now and the first of the year, and in between, I hope to enjoy Christmas and the holidays with my family. As this is our last meeting before Christmas, I'd like to wish everybody a safe and Merry Christmas. With that, Mr. Chairman, I would stand for any questions.
Thanks, Commissioner. Appreciate the report. Any questions or comments for Commissioner Slaughter? I would just say I'm not sure what it means in how we handled the specific purpose tax discussion, but I would argue that we handled it transparently and openly and advertised it to allow for the public and or any other governing body that feels differently to come speak to us, and we had zero input. So I think it was a very open and honest discussion, and I appreciate the way you handled it. So thanks for that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and that message was conveyed. So,
Commissioner Tillman, the floor is yours.
Thank you. On the third, I was on a phone call with Simplot regarding their Federal Land Policy Management Act rule change, and we do have a letter that we're adopting later on the agenda. Also that day, I attended the Bureau of Land Management scoping meeting, and it was well attended and definitely a much more positive attitude than the one held several years ago. On the 5th, the Federal Partners meeting, I won't report everything. I'll leave Island to have something to say. The BLM provided updates on the Rock Springs Plan amendments and projected to be completed by the end of 2026. We met the new wildlife supervisor for the Wyoming Game and Fish, James Hobb. He was introduced, and Trinity Lewis gave an update on Hageman's work. On the 10th, I attended the Planning and Zoning meeting, so I would ask the public to watch for the comment period ending February 4th for the new rules on short-term rentals, and today we adopted other rules that had already been through the process for wind and solar. So thank you, P&Z. It may also be time to update our federal land and resource use plan. So I visited with Chairman Lyons, Eric Bingham, and John DeLeon about checking into this and asking P&Z to vet this for us as we did the original plan. Since 70% of our county's public lands, I feel it is important that P&Z be kept in the loop regarding these issues. The Conservation District did do an update on their plan, which is much more extensive than our plan. But there may be items that we could update, so we need to check with Danielle Betancourt, our lawyer, and see what she thinks. On the 11th, I attended the Rock Springs Chamber of Commerce Christmas dinner held at Santa Fe. Great food. The recognition program was great, and the crowd was great. So special thanks to Rick Lee for all he does all the time. Thank you. On the 14th, I met with an Eden Valley constituent regarding a nuisance complaint. On the 15th, yesterday, I attended the Sweetwater County Combined Communications Center Board meeting. There was discussion about the need to raise the 9/11 fees from 75 cents to at least $3, but they were concerned that the Freedom Caucus legislature would not let this happen, an additional tax, and it's desperately needed to fund our communication center. We need to find other funding sources for that. I will be meeting with their staff Wednesday to talk about their annual plan, which they will present to us in January, asking for a little bit more explanation as to their capital needs and future projections, so we have a better picture of what their needs might be. I also met with the library board last night. We received updates on the library remodels and toured the White Mountain meeting room. Great facility. The HVAC system is about ready to go out for bid. So thanks to Gene and his crew for seeing all of that through. They will be holding open houses on the Rock Springs Library and the White Mountain Library once the meeting rooms have been finalized. They adopted a new library card and lending policy, and it will be advertised for public comment. So I would encourage the public to check into that. They are proposing a $25 fee for out-of-county or out-of-state residents who may be coming in to use our libraries. And they are proposing several different types of of cards, the main thing to realize is that the library provides open access to all physical library materials, computers, and digital materials. We do not restrict your child's access. So the library is not proposing to be a cop for kids. So it's up to the parents to decide what their kids can see digitally or in published form. Let's see. Our next meeting will be in Green River, January 20th at the library at 6 p.m. So it's a different date. It's not on a Monday. It will be on Tuesday, January 20th. I met with a constituent and received several emails regarding the liquor license in Jamestown. All of them were opposed to the liquor license, so that will be interesting. Happy holidays to all. That's the end of my report.
Thanks, Commissioner. Appreciate the report. Any questions or comments for Commissioner Tillman? Not, Commissioner Richards, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. I've had a few meetings since I saw you last on December 3rd. Along with all of you, I attended the BLM's public scoping meeting for the Rock Springs Resource Management Plan Amendment. While I remain hopeful that meaningful changes will be made through the amendment process, the cynic in me keeps reminding me that we still do not have a confirmed national director of the BLM. We only have an interim state director of the BLM and the same local field office manager that was responsible for the 2024 RMP is in charge of this amendment. But like I said, I remain hopeful. On the morning of the 4th, I attended the Rock Springs Chambers Enterprise meeting. It was a small crowd, but we had an engaging roundtable discussion about economic development in Sweetwater County, the challenges we face, and what we can expect in the near and distant future. Thank you to Treasurer Mark Cowan for being a part of that discussion. On the morning of the 5th, we finally had our monthly federal partners meeting at the Rock Springs Chamber. From the federal side, we heard updates from both the Rock Springs and Lander BLM field offices, as well as from Representative Hageman's office. The Rock Springs field manager reported that they had put together an ACEC team to study the 12 existing ACECs identified in the Rock Springs RMP, and they will also study any additional ACECs nominated during the amendment process. As of the time of the meeting, they had received approximately 11,000 scoping comments, but a vast number of those were form letters, and many probably won't be considered valuable. As of that date, they had not received any new ACEC nominations, but expected to receive at least some by the deadline. Another issue the local BLM office is facing is staffing shortages, with about 13 of their 46 positions unfilled and a hiring ban still in effect for most of those. Several of our partnering federal agencies were not in attendance, but I'm guessing they are still recovering from the shutdown, so I hope to see them next time. New local Wyoming Game and Fish Regional Wildlife Supervisor James Hobbs attended and introduced himself. He relocated here from Athens after receiving the 2024 Shikar Safari Wildlife Officer of the Year Award. So welcome to the neighborhood, Mr. Hobbs. On the 6th, I attended the Rock Springs Chamber Lighted Christmas Parade, where I drove the commissioner's float that was generously provided by Whistler Chevrolet. I know my fellow commissioners that were riding in the back will complain about my driving, but really all I was doing was seeing if they were paying attention. It's not my fault if they weren't wearing their seatbelts in the back of the truck. It was a great time, fantastic turnout, and a holiday tradition that just keeps getting better. Big thanks to Rick and his team at the Rock Springs Chamber for the work you do making it possible. On the 8th, I remotely attended the Sweetwater County Outdoor Recreation Collaborative meeting. There are a lot of outdoor recreation projects going on in the county, and that group seems to be finally finding its footing. On the 9th, I remotely attended the Wyoming State Liquor Association Board meeting. That is something I do wearing my other hat, but some of the bills they are tracking this year will have direct effect on counties, especially bills regarding gambling and historic horse racing machines and establishments. On the 10th, I missed my monthly NACO CEWD meeting because sadly I had an employee who decided to celebrate the holidays by gifting themselves some money out of one of my cash registers, so I had to make a report. I do want to say how much I appreciate the professionalism that is shown every day by the Sweetwater County Sheriff's Department and its deputies, as well as the dispatchers over at Combined Communications. They help what can be a difficult process be a much less painful one. On the 11th, I joined Treasurer Cowan and Land Use Director Bingham on a Teams meeting with a company that is interested in locating some operations here in Sweetwater County. We discussed their needs with them and are connecting them with the people they need to work with to move forward. On the 13th, I celebrated Teresa and my 35th wedding anniversary. I'm not sure how we could possibly have been married that long, especially since Teresa doesn't look a day over 35 herself. So happy anniversary, Teresa. I love you and thank you for being by my side for this crazy journey. Of course, an anniversary wouldn't be anything without a hot date. So on that day, Teresa and I attended Western Wyoming Community College's town hall meeting at the college where Dr. Young and his administrative staff discussed their workforce reduction plan. I know that it is easy and convenient to throw around blame for the position that the college finds themselves in, but there are numerous compounding issues that led them to where they are now. And I commend Dr. Young, his cabinet, and the college board for addressing those issues and developing a plan to move forward and doing it with transparency. On the 15th, I participated in an interview with a researcher from the Energy Engagement, Leadership, and Careers Program at the University of Wyoming's School of Energy Resources, long name, about the perceptions of CO2 pipelines and local permitting. Looking forward, I'll be on a panel at tonight's Pulse of Southwest Wyoming meeting, along with Land Use Director / Rock Springs City Councilman Eric Bingham and Representative Scott Heiner to discuss permitting, barriers to development, and making the process more efficient. Tomorrow morning, I'll briefly join the airport board meeting remotely, followed by a meeting here at the courthouse with Commissioner Toman and our appointees to the Joint Powers Combined Communications Board. Tomorrow evening, I'll attend the Southwest Counseling Board meeting. And that is all I have scheduled going into the Christmas holidays. After the new year, we'll have a First Fridays Federal Partners meeting on the 2nd. And that's all I've got planned. Something of note that I want to mention, and that is my wholehearted congratulations to the Community Fine Arts Center for winning the Governor's Arts Award, for being a cornerstone of cultural institution that brings high quality visual and performing arts to Sweetwater County through exhibitions, education, and community outreach. As you all remember, we provided a letter of recommendation for them a few months ago, and it looks like their hard work and vision in our community will be recognized. Again, congratulations to Amanda Romero, Carrie Tuttle, Denise Mosley, as well as Lindsay and all the staff at our libraries that work so hard to keep the arts alive in Sweetwater County. It's a well-deserved honor, and they will be presented that award at the Governor's Arts Awards ceremony in Cheyenne on February 27th. Something else I wanted to share with you is that I registered to participate in NACO's High Performance Leadership Academy as part of their January cohort, which was specifically tailored for elected officials. It is primarily an online set of courses that will start on January 5th and run through March 20th. Looking forward to the challenge and to expanding my knowledge and capabilities so I can do this part-time job as best as I can on behalf of all of Sweetwater County. And I appreciate all of your support in letting me do it. Finally, I want to point out that today is the 252nd anniversary of the Boston Tea Party. And with that, I want to wish all of you a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and a Happy New Year. I hope the holidays are kind and generous to you and your families, and that goes for you and everyone in Sweetwater County. That's all I have for you today, Mr. Chairman. I'm happy to stand for any questions as long as it's not about my driving.
Very good. Thanks, Commissioner. Any questions or comments for Commissioner Richards' report?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Richards, for mentioning the Community Fine Arts Award. I was remiss in missing that.
Got your back.
Thank you.
Any others? I feel like after 3 years of getting plenty of feedback from yourself on my Cheyenne driving incidents that I should take full advantage, but I will remiss.
Mr. Chairman,
Very thankful for that tailgate.
I will point out that I obeyed all traffic laws.
All right. Thanks for the report. And Commissioner Jones, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you'd like, I could help you find a steering wheel or something somewhere. On the 2nd, I attended the Sweetwater Snowpoke Snowmobile and ATV Club for our monthly meeting. This just happens to be pretty partial. I'm pretty partial to this group, but it's a great club, does amazing things to promote responsible motorized recreation. It also assists different users in being able to recreate safely, pretty much assists all users. The meeting also included White Elephant Gift Exchange, so that's always fun to participate in. On the 3rd, I attended the Memorial Hospital Sweetwater County Monthly Board of Trustees meeting. Many topics that I've already reported on from committee meetings were covered. However, I would like to mention that CEO Irene Richardson gave an overview of their strategic plan results to date. Memorial Hospital Sweetwater County has done an excellent job of exceeding their goals in areas such as patient experience, employee experience, quality and safety subjects, financial stewardship, and so many others that I won't take the time to list all today. Memorial Hospital Sweetwater County continues to move forward and upward in so many different topics and areas. It's just great to hear the successes that they're seeing up there. Also mentioned was a grant award from the Helmsley Foundation for $1.9 million for a new PET CT scan machine. So in addition to all of their hard work to improve what they do up there, they're also adding new and improved equipment, keeping up with technology and the needs of our communities. Also on the 3rd, I attended the public meeting put on by the BLM with all of you. Fair amount of ditto, I suppose, goes into that. I will say that the feedback I received from the public so far is pretty consistent in that what we have heard from the very beginning 2 or 3 years ago. Most people are not in agreement with the current RMP that was signed a year ago, and people definitely want changes that will help our industries, our recreation, and public access to public lands. I did find it interesting that BLM employees are the ones reviewing the ACEC designations, excuse me, for the BLM. Kind of makes me think of kids in school checking each other's homework. On the 4th, I helped hand out candy to families that showed up to welcome Santa at the Memorial Hospital, Sweetwater County. I have no idea how many families or kids showed up, but the place was packed. Certainly a highlight for me and obviously for the kids, but it was, I thought, pretty special. It was fun to watch Santa fly in the helicopter, circle around a couple of times around the hospital, but just to stand there in the parking lot and watch all the kids wave, yell, and scream, jump up and down with excitement, I thought was really pretty special. We all know how stressful Christmas season is and can be, but that all kind of melted away for an evening watching all those kids. On the 5th, I attended the federal partners meeting. I think that's fairly well covered so far with previous commissioners, so I will skip down. I will say, though, that the 18th of December, so just a short couple of days away, is the last time for the public to make comment. So I please encourage everyone to make comments on the RMP. It's kind of difficult to do, but if you go to the Rock Springs Field Office BLM webpage, they've buried the links where you can make your public comment. But there is a link on there where you can send an email on the first page. So you can simply send an email with your thoughts, which works. But if you want to go in farther into the document, the easiest way I found to do it, and I spent a considerable amount of time to discover this, unfortunately, but you can simply do a Google search for BLM Rock Springs Resource Management Plan. That then will take you to a BLM page where you can click on Participate Now, which is on the left-hand side of your screen. Then again, on the next page, you will click on Participate Now towards the center of your screen, and you can then add your information. Don't waste any time trying to find this comment page. They've got it buried, so just use those steps. Your comments do need to be very specific, just like before. Nothing has changed. So comment on an area that you're most familiar with and what you want to see take place in that area, but be very specific. They will not take seriously vague or general comments such as, I don't like the RMP or go back to the old RMP. So please be specific. You can detail something that you see on a map or a management action that you may have stumbled across a year ago, or anything like that, but just please be specific. On the 8th, I attended Sweetwater County Outdoor Rec Collaborative that was mentioned before. There are a lot of projects going on, so it's great to see. I did report on the side-by-side ride that Senator Jones mentioned, and also the use of the trail system that we're building in conjunction with SWAT. Would like to say Senator Jones didn't mention that whole 250th ride from Evanston to Cheyenne is her brainchild. She came up with that on her own, so appreciate the thought that went into that. On the 9th, I joined our chairman, Mr. Bingham, and Mr. De Leon for a meeting with Governor Gordon and some of his staff, along with Wyoming County Commission Association, to make sure we all understand the letters we will be sending the BLM regarding the RMP. Sick and tired of talking about the RMP, but here we are. I know I sound like a broken record, but we have to see this thing out. Anyway, I would like to thank the governor for setting aside some time to meet with us and understand our points of view. Also like to thank the Wyoming County Commission Association for participating and being such a valuable partner in supporting the counties and standing up for citizens of Wyoming. Once again, they have proven what a valuable asset they are for our constituents, the people. Also on the 9th, I attended a meeting regarding the 250th ride across the state. Starting to sound like a broken record on that one as well, but Senator Jones reviewed that, so I'll leave that one alone. On the 11th, I did join Senator Jones at the hospital where we handed out gifts to employees from the foundation during an employee appreciation luncheon. I really want to say thanks to the employees at the hospital. They're doing a wonderful job. They're great people, and it's many times a very thankless job. So it was nice to do something nice for them. Also on the 11th, attended the Rock Springs Chamber for their Christmas dinner. That was covered before by Commissioner Toman, so appreciate that opportunity. And finally, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all of you and everyone in Sweetwater County.
Very good. Thanks, Commissioner Jones. Questions or comments for Commissioner Jones's report? If not, it looks like I got to be Mr. Repetitive today, so I'll try and keep it brief because most of what I had to talk about you all have already mentioned several times. So that should make it pretty short. The day after our last meeting, I had the mayor and commissioners leadership lunch with both mayors, city administrator from Green River, and the chamber board president of Rock Springs and the incoming chamber board president for the new year. So good discussions there. Nothing really to report back that is anything out of the ordinary. Sometimes it's just nice to get together and vent a little bit. That evening was the BLM open house, obviously, that has been pretty well beat into the ground. I did have a conversation with acting director Chris Kirby at that. It sounds like they've already started work on some of the different alternatives and may have already started a review of the ACECs that have already been improved, which seems a little late, but we'll continue to push forward. I am thankful to finally have the scoping comments on the agenda before you today. That has been an ongoing working document. I think we're on revision 8 or 9 at this point, and so hopefully it passes the smell test for you all, but certainly appreciate Commissioner Jones and Eric and John for working together with me on that and seeing it through. I too attended the hospital where Santa flew in by helicopter. It was a huge hit for my son, so I would just like to say thank you and a job well done to the hospital staff who made that happen. Certainly a packed house. I attended the monthly events complex board meeting. Janet Hartford was recognized for her 10 years of service to that board, where she finished the year off serving as chairman. So certainly appreciate Janet for her dedication. 10 years is a long time, and those terms are obviously 5 years each, and she was involved in a lot of the improvements and advancements for the community. So my hat's off to her. And obviously we have an appointment later today to fill her shoes. So thank you for your service. Kind of business as usual there for the events complex. They discussed kind of some of their ongoing projects. They're doing their sheep barn renovation in-house and changing the name of that to confuse everyone, which will now be Aspen Hall, just so you're aware. So we had some fun with that. But they're just gearing up for additional events. They're already working on next year's county fair and trying to secure concerts and talking about maybe mixing some things up on the approach with how they go about that. So pretty standard business there, but certainly appreciated being a part of some of those discussions. I stopped by to chat with Gene last week and to receive a tour of the new Public Works building now that everyone's moved in and settled in. That's an awesome facility. If you get the time, I highly encourage you to go check it out. I think that's going to be a great improvement for the community. And obviously, certainly for the staff and having everyone under the same roof. It turned out really nice. And I wanted to just kind of present some numbers more for just informational purposes. The purchase price of that facility, now this is 10 acres and it had 3 buildings on it. We chose to remodel 2 of the 3. But the purchase price, which was, I believe, the final meeting of the previous administration, was $3.7 million. Construction fees were the tune of about $6.7 million. So the total cost for that project with land and construction, mind you, that the 3rd building was not remodeled, was $10,445,186. And that is for 58,000 square feet. So I know I've said it in the past, and I hate to keep, playing that same old song, but I think that's a wise investment for the community and allow for us to advance and move on from some of the other facilities that are dated and in need of certainly additional money and improvements with that. That previous administration I mentioned had looked into the idea of constructing a facility at the time back in early 2020, late 2019, somewhere in there, which would have been out by the jail or the detention center, which was a public works facility and a fire facility. The cost back then, now mind you, this was pre-COVID and pre-hyperinflation, was just shy of $22 million. So, and that doesn't include land because it sits on BLM. So I'm thankful for that. I appreciate the vision and for you all kind of helping see that project through. It was a long ongoing task, but it seems like everyone's moving in well and seems to be working out. So one more project down. Also mentioned, and it'll probably be in the next report from Gene, they started the Ramsey Ranch Road culvert project. I got some pretty fascinating pictures with that. It's a 12-foot tall culvert. So crews are busy working away on that. I did want to recap after, I believe it was Commissioner, or maybe it was during our specific purpose tax discussion that we had last meeting. Commissioner Slaughter and I were going back and forth about the amount that had been raised over the last couple decades or so, and we got a point of clarity on that. So since 2001, the public has graciously approved $262,481,976 to date. And I just thought that was worth noting. I appreciate Commissioner and former chairman of both the commission and the 2013 specific purpose tax Reed West for providing that institutional data on such an important topic. Obviously, I'm a little bit partial there, but I'm all about giving credit where credit's due, and knowledge is power. I do have a meeting set up with Janessa Meredith and Mayor Mickelson slated for January 8th to discuss and review the sports facility feasibility study. If you might recall, Travel and Tourism paid to have that study done. I believe some of us were interviewed kind of on the outlook of that, and obviously various sporting groups. It's a very interesting study. I don't know if you've had a chance to see it. I have a copy that I can share. We can obtain from Janessa, and I'm not sure where it's headed, but there's a lot of public involvement and want, I believe. I don't know if you all have had the amount of phone calls I have just in the last couple of weeks in regards to mainly baseball, but sporting organizations wanting to rent space if we have any available. We even had it from other business groups looking for like a haunted house. And I mean, I'm just getting hit left and right. I don't know that we have all the answers, but I think it's worthwhile to sit down and have a discussion about some of these different, I guess, potential options and the feasibility of it. The study obviously points to a joint effort among, it was the county, both cities and both school districts. Right off the bat, that's kind of a red flag to me. I just don't understand the complexities and how that would all come together, given our history with joint powers boards. But obviously the ongoing constraint and issue with that is the ongoing maintenance and the operation of it. And so that's kind of where it sits, but I'm happy to sit down and discuss that. I don't know where you all are at in regards to renting to some of these other organizations. It kind of feels like if we do for one, we have to do for all, and there's plenty of them out there. I believe obviously the idea of the combined public works facility was to get away from some of that. So that's kind of the message I've been sending. But we should probably in the near future have some discussions on best path forward and what we're going to do with some of the buildings and things of that nature. So that's a bit of a plug for you there. I wanted to touch on the decline in revenue. Treasurer Cowan has provided monthly mineral distributions or ad valorem numbers to us, and as of to date, from January through November, we're down about 1.4 million to the county's revenue. Collectively, overall, the month of November, excuse me, was down 31%. And in having a conversation with HR Director McLean yesterday, kind of made me think that we should probably start having these conversations sooner, not necessarily starting the budget process, but potentially giving some direction. I believe Gary stated that we've budgeted around 243 or so positions. Around 215 of those are filled at this point in time, but just being down $1.5 million particular to mineral revenue on top of all the other issues that we know we're going to be faced with, I think we are headed to another very difficult budget session and not knowing what's going to happen, obviously, down in Cheyenne. And there again, I think it would be wise for us to get together with some of the other electeds and start having the conversation on where the numbers are and what the projections are anticipated to be, because obviously they're a lot less than I think we initially had thought. So another plug, another food for thought that you can think about over Christmas break, but I believe the next few months are going to be very tough in that realm. So with that, I would stand for any questions. Okay, well, job well done, commissioners. It's been another fun year. I can't believe we're to the end of another crazy year. I think it's been a very crazy year, to say the least. Very busy. Appreciate everyone's dedication, involvement, and team approach. It sure is an honor to serve with people who are dedicated and well-rounded and diverse. So thank you all for that. We are ahead of schedule. We are going to move to tab D, which is the action presentation items. We're going to take a quick break, which is what's on first. Star Transit is supposed to provide an update at 10:35. So we are going to take about a 10-minute break. We'll resume here a little bit ahead of schedule at 10:25.
Thank you to all of our online viewers. We know that you're listening, and thank you.
We're on break. I'm just kidding. All right, call this meeting back to order. We left off under tab D. We are to item number 2. We've got a Star Transit update, and joining us today is Director Dwayne Pacheco. Good morning, sir.
Morning, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to start it right now. Well, I really appreciate you allowing me to address you today and the rest of the commissioners. As you said, I'm the director of Sweetwater County Transit Authority. I have been for the last 2 years. So I want to give you a positive report exiting this year and into the new year. So I'm really excited about where we're at with transit in Sweetwater County. And so I'll talk about just what we do, talk about our ridership, and then we'll hear from Bob Nissen as one of our riders. And then open up questions if you guys have any questions for me. So with that. Technology. Love it. Got it. Okay. So we were created in 1989 by a commission resolution. Some of those names up there are pretty old, so you probably don't remember them, but I'm sure that Commissioner Slaughter does remember some of them. But so we have been around a long time and really have grown over the years. I report to 5 board of directors of 5, and we have a commission liaison is Rob Slaughter, Commissioner Slaughter, and we meet monthly. So we're a countywide transportation system with no restrictions. We're open to the public and operated on a set schedule, strictly door to door right now in Green River, and in Rock Springs, we're door to door as well as stop to stop. So that utilizes that infrastructure that we had for the route several years ago. We run 5 daily shuttles from Rock Springs to Green River, and in the morning, afternoon, and in the evenings. And our current staff consists of 15 employees, 5 full-time, and then 10 part-time drivers, as well as dispatchers. So why is transit important? We're a designated essential service. It's available for those who have no transportation, also for those who have options. So essentially, we're public transportation. Anyone can use that service. Studies have shown that the ability to travel in an area conveniently without a car is an important component of a community's livability. So we serve all of Sweetwater County, and this is a zone map. If you go to our website, you'll be able to see that. It's ridestartransit.com is our website. And essentially, you'll see that Sweetwater County is broken down into several different zones. Zone 1 is where we normally operate, and that is the greater Rock Springs, Green River area. And so though that is where probably 99% of our riders will be moved from. You can also notice on that zone map that the costs go up as you move outside of the zone 1. Zone 2, which is the airport, is our second most used service right now. So Spare is our mapping and scheduling software, and we do surveys about every 6 months or as needed. And we find some pretty interesting information on those surveys. And so I thought some of the highlights are as follows. 70% of our riders would have no alternative form of transportation without the service. 88% of ridership indicated that riding makes them feel less lonely, which is an interesting stat. And spare service told us it was one of the higher numbers they've seen. And that essentially is um, indicative of people that have no one at home and they're able to communicate with our drivers. Low income and disabled passengers make up a large portion of our ridership. And so that tells us that we're really hitting the mark on what this service is for. Currently, our fleet consists of 1 van and 10 buses. And we had 2 vans, but we did get into a crash. We're working on replacing that van first part of this year, and we'll be replacing a second or a bus as well this in 2026. We're hoping towards the end of 26 to have that vehicle in place. So this is our ridership report, and I wanted to pass this out to you because I think it's important to, if I may approach.
Absolutely.
So you know, most people bring candy along with these sorts of things.
Yeah, we like chocolate. Well, Mr. Pacheco, this might come in handy if my car breaks down. You can come to Farson and pick me up. It'll be cheaper than the county paying me mileage. I'll just start having you pick me up.
Please be sure to bill her at Zone 4 rates.
Well, that's still cheaper than my mileage. 20 bucks, that's a bargain. I can't get the gas for that.
Commissioner Toman, you're exactly right. That is what I tell people. It's not just for elderly disabled. It's public transportation. If you need a ride from the mechanic shop for your car, give us a shout. Now, if we're going to Farson, we do need 7 days at least a week.
Days. Well, I'll
notice.
just put you on the schedule for the meeting dates. No, I'm
Sounds
just
good.
kidding. But if my car breaks down, it might be a option.
We'd be glad to do it. So looking at this yearly ridership report, the high point on that is we've seen an increase through the first 11 months of 2025 of 29%. That's average per month. And some have been over almost 50% around July. So we really have seen an increase in ridership this year compared to 2024. On May 1st, we rolled out a rider phone app for both Android and Apple phones. And the phone app is Star Public Transit. And that's what I handed out to you. And I will, yeah. So this is the app. And I think it's important that people understand to download that app. You never know when you may need public transportation Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. And you pull up your phone, open that app, and it'll tell you if you have a ride available. And we'll show up and move you. If you're under 60, it'll be $2. If you're over 60, it's free. So it's really, transit is highly subsidized by the FTA, the Federal Transportation Administration, for a reason. A lot of the people that utilize our services have fixed incomes. They're elderly, disabled, as I've said before. The phone app, and I did put those numbers at the bottom of the statistics page, account for 12% of our rides. It started off at 0.1%, and as the months have progressed, we're now at 12%. It's kind of holding steady there. So it's important that those people do not have to call our dispatch center. They can automatically just catch a ride through that app. As I said before, our service operates from 7 to 5, Monday through Friday. Major holidays, we are off, but not that many holidays. So let's see here. I did bring a guest. I brought Bob Neeson here from Rock Springs, and I wanted him just to say a few words of his choice regarding our service. So with that, I'd like to introduce Bob.
Morning, Mr. Neeson.
Good morning to all the members here. I would just like to take and say how lucky the people are to have a service like Star Transportation. I spent I've been down here not quite 2 years now. My daughter moved me down because of my health from Star Valley. In Star Valley, we did not have any transportation like this set up. I mean, it's small. I can understand the reason for it. But this is a godsend, at least for me, and I think I speak for quite a few other people that all take part in this transportation that we have. Myself, I use it mainly to make my doctor's appointments. And I have to admit, it really helps me out a lot. I live alone, and most of the drivers, both women and male, they all know me because I do use the service quite often. In fact, I got to use it I got to call and make an arrangement for the 18th. I got a doctor's appointment I've got to go into. But I mean, what I like about the whole thing is they've got a good area of coverage, or at least what I would be interested in. Pretty sure most other people would be interested in. And the employees, believe me when I say this, they are extremely helpful. If you happen to have a little bit of a handicap, they'll put you up on the lift that they have on the buses, which is really a godsend. And I mean, if you're in a wheelchair, you don't have to worry about taking it. Per chance there happen to be some unforeseen accident or something or whatever, they're not going to move and get thrown around because they've got two stations where they can secure the wheelchairs down, and they do an excellent job securing those chairs down with the people that are in them. And I mean, they ought to feel really, really super safe. And then the other thing is, I've rode buses in a lot of different places, but none that are as clean and as well taken care of as what Star Transportation does. You don't find even a little scrap of paper or something, like a candy wrapper or something. You don't find that. The drivers take and go through and they pick all that up and they keep the buses extremely clean. So, I mean, I just, like I said, when I first started talking to you, I think the people down here are extremely lucky to have this service available to them. And I mean, I just hope that it keeps on going. I still think I got a few years left. I don't know how many, but I hope. I'm trying for 17, to be honest with you. That'll make it an even 100 for me. So I'm hoping on that, but if I could answer any questions that people would have, I'd be more than happy to try to answer anything that you could take and come up with. Maybe I could answer it. I don't know.
Very good. Commissioner Tillman?
I have a question for Mr. Pacheco. How many of your riders are over 60 who are not paying a fee then? What percentage
Is there
of
any
your
questions or
riders?
comments from Mr. Neeson first off? Commissioner Jones?
Thank you,
Yes,
Mr. Chairman. I don't have any questions, but I just want to thank you for your service.
You're welcome, sir.
Any other? Thanks for coming over and joining us today. We appreciate it from
Thank you for
firsthand
having me.
experience and welcome you into the community, and most certainly thank you for your service.
Thank you.
God bless everybody here.
God bless you.
And I wish all of you to have a very Merry Christmas and a safe and happy New Year's. And I hope you all had a good Thanksgiving.
Thank you
God
very
bless
much.
all of you. Thank you.
Merry Christmas. We'll see you in 17.
Hopefully I'm gonna be around. I'm kind of stubborn that way.
All right, Commissioner Tillman, go ahead.
I see that the fee is free for over 60. I just wonder what percentage of your riders are in the senior category?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Toman, I don't have the exact breakdown. I can do that for you, though. I don't have it with me right now. It's probably,
Yeah.
I'll bet we're probably 50%,
Mhm.
easily.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Slaughter?
Mr. Chairman, Director Pacheco, one of the things that stands out is your year-over-year increase in ridership. Obviously, you addressed that a little bit with the increase by using your mobile app, but that would only represent a small percentage of the increase that you're saying. What do you believe that the increase in ridership has been attributed to? Is it more awareness? Is it things that you're doing to provide more information to the public? Or where do you see that you're driving that much of an increase in ridership?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Slaughter, I think there's several factors that are helping us increase that ridership. One is we had 2 new buses that we replaced in late 24, and we've been able to utilize those 2 buses in 25. I know Commissioner Jones remembers us the struggle of getting those buses. That's one. Number 2, we have been advertising more than we have in the past. 3 is the app. And we also have more part-time employees that I've been able to put on and train to get more service hours out there for the public. So the way our mapping and scheduling works is if you have more buses out there, more opportunity, more people can get rides. And so we're seeing the benefits of that. And the last one would be just, it's a tough time right now, economy wise, and people on fixed incomes, they see the benefit of not having to utilize their fuel insurance. Some people don't even have vehicles. So we're able to get them where they need to go to the medical, grocery store, those types of things. So I think it's a multitude of things.
Thank you. One more just point. You brought up the commissioners who signed the original resolution for this board. And I'd just like to mention that those are also the commissioners who were responsible for appointing me as treasurer the first time I was appointed as county treasurer. So therefore, they're indirectly responsible for my sitting here today. So interesting that that resolution was brought forth that way.
I didn't mean to cut your presentation short if you had more to go before we jumped into questions. Sorry about that. Well, technically it was Commissioner Tillman, but.
Mr. Chairman, actually, this is the question section of it. So
Good.
you're good.
Any other questions or comments?
Yes, I do have a question. It seemed like for a while you were having trouble with the CDL licensing. Have you figured that out then? It seemed like it was creating a problem.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Tillman. So we were able to get 2 non-CDL buses. And so that helps us with our part-timers. We do have a core group of CDL drivers that hold a CDL with a passenger endorsement. Those are a premium. So as we cycle those buses out, we will go strictly with non-CDL buses.
So how can you get a non-CDL bus? I thought you would have to have CDL when you have passengers on a bus.
So it goes by weight. And so they're smaller. I think they're they have 4 less seats than the others. Not a lot. They're just a few inches shorter. It's interesting how that works, but it just meets that CDL requirement that we have to abide by.
Liaison to the Young at Heart, and it was a concern there for a while. They couldn't get the seniors to lunch on Fridays because you did not have enough drivers. So thank you. That makes sense.
Any other questions, comments? Well, thanks for coming over. We appreciate the update. It's always nice to hear from some of the entities we try to help fund, and obviously we've had a couple difficult years, and unfortunately, it doesn't sound like that's going to get much better, but we'll continue to support where we can, and certainly appreciate all you do. Sounds like you're heading in the right direction, so it's good news.
Thank you, Commissioner, and have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Appreciate y'all.
Maybe
Same
you
to you
can
all.
put ads on the side of the bus or something to get extra money.
So we do windows, so we can do some windows. And that does help us as well. So yeah, we work on that.
Borrow the party buses down the street there.
It's outside of our service hours. Unless you're a day drinker.
Thanks, Dwayne. Appreciate it. All right, that is going to bring us right along into item number 3 under tab D. Which is the signature for Amendment 1 to the cooperative agreement between the Wyoming Department of Family Services, Child Support Enforcement, and Sweetwater County Clerk of District Court. And joining us today is Clerk of District Court Donnelly Boback. And good morning to you.
Morning, how are you?
Doing well.
First of all, I'd like to echo Director Pacheco and Mr. Neeson's comments. My mom used the Star Bus many, many times to get around. She was in her 80s, and it helped me as, working full time. And it is a wonderful service, not only for the people, but for their families as well. And it gives them the independence they need. So I just wanted to echo that.
Very good.
So anyhow, we have a 2-year agreement with Department of Family Services that we come up every year or every 2 years. And this is an amendment to that agreement. And it is addressing the IRS responsibilities. That's what they're amending. And Chief Deputy John DeLeon did review it and had no qualms with it. And the only thing I found was that they had the wrong chairman on the agreement, and they said we can just cross through that. So,
Very good. I had the same finding this morning.
Yeah.
So trying to.
and I said, do you want to do another one? They said, no, since it's already been signed. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Any questions on Amendment 1, Commissioners? Quiet bunch today.
yeah, that's
If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve Amendment 1 to the cooperative agreement between the Wyoming Department of Family Services, the Child Support Enforcement, and Sweetwater County Clerk of District Court as presented, and authorize the chairman to sign.
So
Motion by Commissioner Jones. Do we have a second? Second. Second by Commissioner Richards. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
everybody.
Christmas.
Happy New Year.
We'll see you next year, if not sooner. That's going to move us right along into item number 4, which is the Board of County Commissioners support letter ensuring that FLIPMA controls federal land exchanges. We have Land Use Director Bingham joining us again, as well as representation from Simplot and Plant Manager Mark Rubich. Morning to you both.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My comments are going to be real brief, and I'll turn it over to Mark with Simplot. And I know you've all had an opportunity individually to meet with him, and he's very appreciative of that. And so what before you is a letter concerning a recent Ninth Circuit Court decision on a FLIPMA land exchange authority that has concerns moving forward and the conflicts that has. This letter is addressed to our federal delegation. There were some changes between the letter that was in the packet and the letter that you have before you today was amended. And really the changes there were to address it to all of our federal delegation. And the first sentence was modified in that first paragraph to make those changes. But with that, I'll turn the time over to Mark with Simplot to kind of go over the significance of that court decision. Go ahead, Mark.
So what Simplot's really looking for, and I've obviously spoken with each of you, and thanks for the time this morning, is just some support around FLTMA's authority to allow us to make a land exchange for our sister plant in Pocatello. But it's got a broader impact in terms of federal land management ties to some of the issues that I know you all are aware of with Rock Springs Resource Management Plan and other issues, and FLTMA's authority around land exchanges. So happy to entertain any questions like Eric already alluded to. I've met with all of you individually, so more looking for if you have questions, anything that I can answer in terms of it does impact Simplot's business as a whole, our phosphate portfolio and our ability to run our plant here. So there is an impact to Sweetwater County long term if that land exchange eventually becomes impractical or the court ruling as it stands ends up being the final answer. It will impact probably potentially jobs in Sweetwater County and the viability of the Rock Springs plant long term. So
Very good. Thanks, Mark. Any questions or comments on the proposed letter of support? You came on a good day. It's an
Yeah,
easy one.
everybody's quiet today.
But
Yeah.
obviously we've met individually with you too, and so we have
Yep.
decent background on that, but we appreciate the involvement and being able to help out where we can, and hopefully it does some good. For any of the press that saw our packet, just to reiterate what Eric said, we just changed the fact that originally it was addressed to Senator Barrasso, and we have changed that to send it to the entire delegation. So that is the change, and if anyone would like copies, that'll be made available at request.
Thank you for setting up a tour that we couldn't make that date, but I'd still be
No.
interested in touring your facility.
Anytime the offer is open to all of you, anytime you want to come out, and we're happy to set that up. So
Yeah, we'll follow up with that. I know said I'd get back. We were trying to squeeze it in today, but we figured showing up in suits probably wouldn't be
Yeah,
advisable. So,
right. Probably worse for you guys than for me, but yeah.
well, thanks very much for bringing this to us, and we're happy to support, and let us know if we can help out in the future.
Yep. Thank you guys.
Commissioners, I'd entertain a motion to approve the support letter ensuring the FLTMA federal land exchange process as presented.
Mr. Chairman, I would be happy to make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Toman. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimous. We'll get it signed and get a copy over to you as well, so you have it. Thanks for coming over. It's going to bring us to item number 5, which is the long-awaited scoping comments for the notice of intent to amend the Rock Springs Resource Management Plan. Most of you are probably unaware of what this is for because we haven't really talked about it much, but kidding. Any changes or corrections to the letter? I think we beat this one into the ground pretty well. Okay. After all that, entertain a motion to approve the scoping comments for the notice of the intent to amend the Rock Springs Resource Management Plan as presented, and authorize Land Use Director Bingham to submit them to the BLM on behalf of the commission.
So moved.
And second.
Now they come alive. Motion by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Toman. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Richards.
I just want to thank you and Commissioner Toman and Commissioner Jones specifically for all the work that you put into this, and as well as thanking Land Use Director Bingham and Chief Deputy County Attorney De Leon for all the work that they have put into this. It's been a moving target. It'd be nice if there was instruction on day one on how to deal with the BLM, but there is not. They change their instructions almost on a daily basis, and our staff and all of you have done a remarkable job of putting together this document. I know it's only the first step over what's about 9 or 10 months ahead of us, but at least it's behind us. So thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, thank you for your finessing and making it politically correct, whereas some of us would have liked to have been a less kind.
Interesting dance around. Very welcome. Takes a team.
Thank you for looking out for us.
Mr. Jones?
Mr. Chairman, I know I've done it several times, but Eric and John, really appreciate what you guys have done. I know it's been a labor of love, I think would probably be the best way to put it for the two of you. And, but really appreciate all the hours, weekends, evenings, holidays, everything else that you two put in. I said it before, I'll say it again. I don't know where we'd be without the two of you. So thank you very much.
I don't think love is the correct word for this document.
Trying to soften the blow.
Mr. Slaughter?
I think we've said
Okay.
enough. Thank you.
Very
Mr.
good.
Chairman.
I will see I will say our meeting with the governor, I felt, went quite well, and they seem to be very confident that they have a good working relationship with DC and that things will be headed in the right direction. And as much as I hate to say, here we go again, we are fortunate to be in that position to make a final push and hopefully get the changes that we've been fighting for. So happy to move forward with this process, but also to put it behind us until next year. Because I believe the last two Christmases we've been focused on BLM funds. So we'll see where it shakes out. And with no further discussion, we do have a motion and a second on the table. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Item number 6 is the approval of the detention center opioid grant contract. And joining us this morning is County Grants Manager Christina Marshall, and we also have Sheriff Grossnickel and Under Sheriff Tomich in attendance. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Sweetwater County was awarded opioid settlement funds from the Wyoming Association of Sheriffs and Chiefs of Police, known as WASCOP, in the amount of $175,000. It requires no cash match and expires on January 1st of 2027. So the purpose of this funding is to support detention centers and addressing the needs of people involved in the criminal justice center who have opioid use disorder, or OUDs, and to reduce overdose deaths through evidence-based practices, policies, and trainings. The grant award will be used to purchase a full body scanner, which will improve the prevention infrastructure at the Sweetwater County Detention Center. The equipment addresses a significant gap in which there is no secure detoxification facility or technology to image the body to detect concealed drugs and identify people with drug use problems during the intake process. So a few notes about that. Nationally, roughly 60% of incarcerated people have a substance abuse disorder, and in many cases, an opioid use disorder. Last year, the Sweetwater County Detention Center reported 8% of new arrestees had withdrawals related to opioid or fentanyl, alcohol, and methamphetamine. Southwest Counseling is actually an important partner in the detention center's overdose prevention efforts because they are contracted to provide jail-based treatment services to incarcerated individuals. And then finally, this grant funding originates from the state of Wyoming's portion of the National Opioid Settlement Funds, which they receive a statewide allocation of 35%, and local governments receive 65%, and Sweetwater County receives 7.64% of that pot, or overall 4.97% of the entire Wyoming allocation. So the request is your approval of the grant contract. The sheriff and undersheriff are here in case they would like to add about the project. Or if you have any questions about the grant.
Very good. Thanks, Christina. Appreciate the background as always. Any questions or comments on the grant contract, Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Richards.
I just appreciate our elected officials as well as department heads for their continued effort to look for outside money to fund Sweetwater County's needs.
Yeah, that's a great grant, especially with no cash match. We love those. Any other comments? Not an entertain a motion to approve and authorize the chairman to sign the detention center opioid diversion grant contract from the Wyoming Association of Sheriffs and Chiefs of Police as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Slaughter. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous.
Great.
Thanks, Christina.
Happy holidays.
Same to you. It's going to bring us right along to item number 7, which is the oversized and overweight vehicle regulations update. And joining us this morning is Public Works Director Gene Legursky, as well as the sheriff and undersheriff. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. So as you guys may recall, back in your second meeting in January of 24, we approached you about starting to do oversized and overweight permit and regulations on Sweetwater County roads. At that point in time, you guys did commission us to go forward and start exploring that route. So over the last couple of years, we have taken the opportunity to go through, develop the regulations and the draft resolution. And before we proceeded forward with that, we wanted to visit with the board today to determine if you were still 2 years later feeling that we should be moving forward with this and start the regulatory process. So if you do want to move forward, then what we would do is start with legal advertising, tentatively do the notice of intent January 6th, go through the comment period, and then tentatively hold the public hearing. I believe the first meeting in March would be the plan. So the regulations, as per Wyoming Statute 3118-802, paragraph A, Romanet 10, allows the county to adopt the regulations that are identical to what YDOT's oversized and overweight regulations are, and then implement fees and enforce accordingly. So that falls on the county and then specifically on the sheriff to enforce. Through our discussions with Gene, we've decided that instead of issuing the permits through Road and Bridge and then having the sheriff's office enforce that the regulations, that the simplest route would be for the sheriff's office to both issue the permits and enforce the regulations. So that's where we've come to at this point. Gene, do you have anything to add to that?
A couple things on that, just from my perspective. We deal with a lot of oversized, overweight loads that come from out of state. They stop at the port of entry. Over the last 4 years, we've got a really good reputation with the port of entry, and they're calling us there. The problem is they'll ask us, no, we don't have any permits, and then they think they can drive across any bridge or any road. And then what happens is they have a route planned out, they get it approved by Cheyenne. Cheyenne wants our okay, and then we go, yeah, you can't drive across that road. You weigh 500,000 pounds. That will fall on the main line of the UP. So I think this is a cohesive way to make sure that they are permitted to go across the roads that they do, and they have plenty of time. So they're not waiting in, a port of entry in Cheyenne, or waiting in a port entry in Evanston, or, Gillette, or anywhere trying to get through Sweetwater County. It'll allow them to plan ahead of time and figure out their moves, because, the loads are getting bigger, they're getting longer, they're getting taller. That's just a fact of life.
So this is specific to county roads? As far as the fee
Yeah,
and
we don't have any
everything?
jurisdiction on
Right.
other ones.
But it mimics YDOT
Right.
and their policies. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, which Gene talking about these loads, obviously we have a huge hurdle here on I-80 that they constantly use one of our county roads to navigate through, and that's the tunnels. So these oversized loads are continually going on a county road. The roads out by Wamsutter, Gene's talked about before, because of the oversized loads. And these are things that the Sweetwater County taxpayer having to burden. So I look at it as a use fee. These companies that are using these oversized loads in our county roads, I don't think that the citizens of Sweetwater County should have to be paying that out of the limited tax sources that we do have. So that was one of the main reasons of looking at this, knowing we were getting the calls. I knew Converse County had already implemented this, and I believe their revenue was anywhere from $250,000 up to $800,000 a year is what they're getting from these oversized loads. And it was the main issue that they did that also.
Thanks, Sheriff. There was some confusion out there that this was a tax, and I just want to be clear that you already went over it, but it is a use fee, and it's for more or less those traveling through that are over X weight.
Correct. And it's, if they're over the weight load that the county roads can bear, or the bridges, clearly we don't want them, collapsing a bridge, but that's what it's for. And Gene could probably go into more on that, on what these oversized loads are doing to the county roads.
Very good. Questions or comments, commissioners? Shocker. So if I understood the process properly, trying to lighten the mood a little bit, this would go through the similar process that we talked this morning with P and Z, where it starts off the notice of intent to proceed with the 45-day process and the public comment and all of that.
Correct. And that's in consultation with Mr. De Leon. That's what we determine the proper regulatory process is effectively the same thing you're doing with P and Z.
Okay. So do we need action today or just a blessing? What do you think on that, John?
Mr. Chairman, just approval to move forward. The actual action will take place as the undersheriff identified on November 6th. That's when a notice of intent will be written and provided to you to officially approve. So today is just getting your direction to be able to move forward with an action item.
Okay, very good. Appreciate that. I'm all for it.
I have a question. Could this not be run through P and Z or no? Okay.
The statutory language, I believe, lays it on Road and Bridge and then the sheriff specifically.
Okay, thank you.
Chairman, full support. I'm in support. Now you have a comment.
Very good. Commissioner Jones. Oh, that was the comment. Sorry. Everyone good with it? We'll proceed forward. We appreciate you. Sorry it took so long, but look forward to, I guess, seeing the process through and hopefully bring in some additional revenue. I got to give the sheriff's office credit. They're always looking for ways to bring in more revenue, and we certainly appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, from all the employees at the Sheriff's Office, we want to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and thank you for the support. And remember, we're the one office that's open 24/7, and we have people that'll be working in away from their families those days, but we appreciate the support you give us.
Yeah, absolutely. We reciprocate that and certainly thank those for their sacrifice over the holidays. That is going to take us to item number 8, Commissioners, which is change order number 3 for time only to the Sweetwater County Detention Center Rooftop Unit Air Handler Unit Project. And I'll hand it back to Mr. Legursky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What you have before you is change order number 3 for time only for our air handler rooftop unit project. As you can imagine, you would never think we'd be talking about COVID and delays and everything like that, 5 years later, but we still are. Part of this was we took a guess when we wrote the first change order for you guys, and we thought we had plenty of time in the contract to get the materials procured and to get them here on time. They showed up almost a month later than what the initial delivery date was. Then we also had some issues with fire dampers and just everything getting them done. Right now, the project is 99% complete. They're up there. They were up there yesterday. Today, they're trying to battle the winds to get the last little bit wrapped up. Right now, really all we have left is the seismic stuff and then the balancing of the whole entire building with each other. You got to remember there's 18 rooftop units up there and 3 large air handlers that need to be rebalanced and to make sure that doors close properly and people don't hear hissing and all of that different stuff. So we just need some extra time to get those done and wrapped up. The project went fairly well as far as a big project like that. Minimal delays. Mother Nature actually, held out for us. Who would have believed that we were actually setting, 20,000-pound units in the middle of November with no snow? But it really held out, and it's just one of those things that you can't predict what you do when you start a project out almost 18 months in advance. But here we are, so we just need some extra time to finish the project.
Very good. Thank you, Gene. Questions or comments? Not, I'd entertain a motion to approve change order number 3 for time only to the Sweetwater County Detention Center R2U AHU project and allow the chairman to sign all necessary documents.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Richards. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion? Hearing none, all is in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. I'm going to abstain, although it's time only. That is The contractor is the place in which I'm employed, so I will abstain from the vote. It's going to move us right along to item number 9, which is the discussion on the town of Superior taking over the ownership and maintenance of County Road 87, the Upper Superior Road. I'll hand it back to Gene.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Interesting proposal that I received from Mayor Wolf last week. He called me up and said, hey, let's talk about this county road. We'd like to take it over. I've never had that happen before. So that's actually a kind of a nice place. They're thinking of annexing some of the areas that are out there. And the first step would obviously be the county road. Right now, majority of it is in the county. If you guys are familiar with Superior, it's the road as you go through town and then kind of turn by the Catholic Church and you head out to the middle of nowhere. It's not the one that goes over to the power plant that's on the other side. It's not the one that goes back to Dines and Winton. It's the one that just kind of ends out there in the desert. It's about 1.6 miles long. The county does have right of way through that from 3 different areas that we've secured into one. So I think the transfer would be smooth, but what I was just kind of gauging your interest, if you would be willing to give up 1.6 miles of road to the town of Superior, if we can get it all to happen. Of course, the deeds and everything would have to come through you guys, resolution and all that stuff like we have in the past. But if you guys are dead set against it, I don't see why, but if you guys are dead set against it, getting rid of a little bit of road, let me know and we'll stop the process. But if you guys want me to go forward, we will.
What's your opinion?
I'd love to get rid of about 1,400 miles of road, but that's impossible.
Kind of assume, but
Well, you wanted to comment.
yeah, thanks.
No, this road really serves no transportational purposes for Sweetwater County Road and Bridge. It's not an interconnection road. It doesn't service any mines or anything like that. It goes out in the middle of nowhere. I think the great thing is with the ORV and all that stuff, the city will maintain it, the town will maintain it and do those things. So, they can still access everything, still have a governmental right of way on it. So there's no restrictions. But it's just not one of those ones that we should be taking care of, in my opinion.
Commissioner Jones?
So just no downside then.
For us, there's no downside.
Any other comments? Obviously, that's an involved process. So you're just looking for a blessing to move forward.
Yep.
Sounds like you have it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Gene. It's going to bring us to item number 10, which is the Eden Saloon and RV Parks request for a catering permit for a New Year's Eve party at the Farson Community Hall. And joining us this morning is Clerk Swinson. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. Is it morning still? Yes, okay. All right, first I have the Eden Saloon and RV Parks New Year's Eve party at the Farson Community Hall. They like a permit from December 31st through January 1st of 26. And they have turned in the catering application, which is before you.
Very good. Any questions on the catering permit, Commissioners?
I can't think of any.
I'm waiting for Mary.
If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the Eden Saloon and RV Parks request for a catering permit for the New Year's Eve party at the Farson Community Hall as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Richards. Do we have a second?
I would second that.
Second by Commissioner Tillman. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Thanks very much.
You're welcome. I'm next.
You are next. Sorry.
I can't leave yet. Sorry.
Bring us to item number 11, which is the liquor license for 374 Liquor LLC. Hand it back to Clerk Swinson.
All right. Thank you again, Chairman, Commissioners. We have a new liquor license permit application from 374 Liquor LLC to be located in at 455 Charles Avenue, Green River, Wyoming. And the business primary contact is Anthony Nemick.
Very good. Are there any questions for Clerk Swinson before we get into the applicant? Okay, well, I got one. I'll start with, I guess, this is a retail liquor license, if I understand it.
Yes,
Correct,
sorry,
right?
this is a retail liquor license.
So the county has one per every 500 population, I
Yes.
believe is the statute on that. So do we have?
This is
it
our
12?
last open liquor license.
Okay. So it's
For the
based off
county.
of unincorporated area.
Yes.
Okay.
There can be 3 establishments within a 5-mile radius of the city.
Okay, so we have 11 issued and this is the
12.
remaining one.
We have 12 and 13.
Any other questions?
Well, I have a question.
Commissioner Toman?
So does this allow all types of liquor? Is this a broad, really broad license that would allow an sitting bar as well as selling package and beer and wine and?
Yes, it is an
Liquor.
on and off premise bar and package store. It can be differing things. It can be an on-premise bar, it can be an off-premise package store, or it can be an on and off-premise bar and package store, which is what has been selected on this application.
Any other comments or questions?
I think the big concern with the public is the fact that it could be turned into an on-premise inside bar. But we could listen to Mr. Nemick, I guess, talk to that.
So just to be clear, there's 3 different business types that can be applied for. There's an on-premise, which is a bar. There's an off-premise, which is a package store. And then there's an on and off premise, which is obviously a bar and package store. The application before us this morning is the third option, which is the on and off premise bar and package store.
Yes.
Any other questions for staff? Okay, I believe we have the applicant here. If you would like to come forward, Mr. Nemick, and speak to your application process. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman West, County Commissioners. For the record, my name's Tony Nemick, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today. I'm here to respectfully request your approval for a liquor license for my new veteran-owned business, 374 Liquor, which combines an online wine shipping service with a small community-focused retail space. Our operation will offer a modern online wine shipping platform along with a small retail space where local customers can browse curated wines and place special orders for harder to find liquor products. This allows us to meet both the evolving expectations of today's customers and the traditional needs of the residents right here in our county. 374 Liquor will operate Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., providing consistent hours for local customers while supporting efficient fulfillment for online orders. I need to request an amendment on the application. When I was filling this out, I was also doing the renewal for the American Legion. Those are the American Legion hours. So it was my mistake. In terms of economic impact, we will begin with 2 employees with plans to expand to 5 employees as online order volume increases. These will be local positions supporting families in our community and generating additional tax revenue for the county. Regarding community impacts, our operations will be modest. We anticipate 2 deliveries per week for inventory restocking. As our online sales grow, we hope to establish daily UPS or FedEx shipments, which will remain small in volume and will not create significant traffic or noise. We are committed to maintaining a low-impact presence and working cooperatively with county officials to ensure our business integrates smoothly into the community. Responsibility remains at the foundation of everything we do. All staff will be trained in responsible alcohol service, and strict ID verification will be conducted for both in-person and online sales. As a veteran and prior law enforcement officer, I take compliance and accountability seriously, and I intend for this business to exceed every expectation placed upon it. This liquor license is essential for establishing a business that expands consumer choice, supports local employment, and reflects the high standards of professionalism and responsibility. Thank you for your time and consideration. I respectfully ask for your support and welcome any questions you may have.
Thanks, Mr. Nemick. Appreciate that. So just to be clear on your amendment that you spoke to, that is in regards to the hours. Does that also apply to the business type? Whereas it would be an on and off premise?
It would still be the same, on and off
Okay.
premise.
On
And
and
the
off.
reason being is, as a package store, people can go there and make purchases. And Uh, As far as the on-premises consumption, wine tastings.
Okay. So the intent isn't to open up a bar.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I run one right now, so I don't want to do another one.
And the amendment on the hours that you spoke to,
Days and
make-
hours.
yeah, so that was 9 to 5, Monday through Friday?
Yes,
Is that
sir.
what you said? Okay. Questions, commissioners?
Those are my questions, so.
Mr. Slaughter?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Nemec, I think you've addressed most of my questions, but one of the issues that we've got is if we do approve this as a full retail liquor license, which would be both on and off premises, there really isn't anything that would prohibit you from changing this to a bar later on. Or at this point in time, we have the ability to potentially say no to this. Once we have granted permission for this retail liquor license, it kind of gives you carte blanche, I think, at that point in time. And any decisions we make at that point can be appealed. So I know that there have been some concerns in the community with respect to that. I just once again would like to have you affirm that that is certainly not your intent. And I know things can change, and certainly that can be the case. But going into this as a commissioner, that's been one of the concerns that has been brought to my attention. And I just wanted to get a better feel for that.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. I am not opening a bar. I will never open a bar. The building has about a 2,000 square foot warehouse, which is going to be our shipping and receiving area. And the retail space is probably 200 square feet, which is a very small area. And mainly it's just going to be the wines that we're going to be selling online. We'll have them displayed so local customers can come look at them, buy them. And so it's a really small space so they can buy the wines and also any special orders.
Excuse me. And so your intent then, I'm familiar with the building. I used to get all of my windshields done out there.
Yeah.
So the part of the building on the west side, it would be what you're referring to as being
Yes, sir.
where the offices would be, and now
Yes, sir.
where the offices currently are, and that would be it. Okay. I think for now, that's all I've got. Thank you.
Mr. Jones?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have one more question. The percent corporate stock or ownership held, you're 50-50 with your partner. I don't know if you can speak for him today or not, but is he fully in agreement with this and not having a bar? I mean,
Absolutely.
I have
Mr. Tillman?
question. These licenses are renewable every year, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So if you, would this license stipulate the hours and everything that you've told us? So that if the end of a year you've violated what you've promised us, we could not renew it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, if this gets approved, almost immediately I have to do a renewal. Or probably in a week or two.
Yeah.
I will have those hours correct on that renewal application.
Additional comments or questions for the applicant?
So it renews at the end of a fiscal year, not after the end of a actual year of use, right?
Actually, in Sweetwater County, ours are renewed in April, so we just received the renewal applications for all of our current retail liquor license and our liquor license holders, and we will be sending those out, and then it starts to process. So ours go from April to April. They have it broke out. Each county has a different date that their liquor license are, so that the whole state's not all at the same time. So our renewal process will begin here shortly, and I will be bringing that before you in March to renew for the next year. So you will have the opportunity to look this over,
And
yes.
everything he stipulated will be on that license?
Yes.
Okay, and what is the annual fee for renewing a license?
50, not yet. Tell me secrets. No, I'm just kidding. I believe right now it's 1,200 for the retail. They're all different prices, so I don't have the list in front of me. It's either 12 or 1,500 for an annual. This one is prorated. The state prorates it for
Oh, okay.
the few months that this one would be in effect. And then it'll come up for renewal in April where a different decision can be made on.
And does the county get that money or does it go to the state?
The county keeps that money. Wait, do I get one? Oh, where'd you write your check? Sorry, I'm not involved in it, to the county, yes.
Mr. Chairman, one more question for Mr. Nemec, if I might. I'm once again, I'm trying to picture this in my mind. And what I'm gathering is once again that you're going to have a packaged liquor store, but you do not have the intent to have a drive up for it. Is that the case, or do you?
That's absolutely true. No drive up.
No drive up. Okay, because that was another concern that had been raised.
Yeah, I don't even know.
That would be an issue that would be something else to consider. But without that, I think that mitigates some of the other concerns which I've heard. So thank you.
Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So just to be clear for us, but probably more importantly for the public, this comes up for renewal every year. So if you decide next week to turn this in to a full-blown bar, we can deny this later because you have not followed what this application shows.
Correct. Yes, sir.
So how would you do the wine tasting then? It would be between 9 and 5. You'd invite people out to.
Yes, ma'am. We don't plan to do too much, but maybe for a grand opening, have a wine tasting during that.
Mr. Chairman, just one more clarification with respect to Commissioner Jones' point. At the point in time where an applicant makes an application for a renewal, if by chance there were an adverse decision by this board, it would be appealable to the district court, where at this point in time, this decision is strictly up to the county commissioners to make this decision. So it does bring in another level at that point in time, once the liquor license has been issued.
In regards to your amendment, kind of piggybacking off Commissioner Jones's comment on your hours and all that, your business partner is in agreement with those hours and would be fine with that proposed amendment that you've put forth?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Does the business partner sign that license? Do both partners sign that license? So,
Yes.
okay. Just checking.
Any other questions before we open up the public hearing? Thank you, Mr. Nemec. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. As announced this morning, we had a little bit of confusion, so we apologize for that. These applications are supposed to follow a public hearing process, so I believe the county advertised that for a public hearing, which is generally at the beginning of our agenda, which was slated for 9:10. We put the agenda item on later in the agenda, obviously, which is where we're at now. So that was supposed to be upheld at 11:50. Obviously, we're a little bit ahead of schedule as well, but we opened it up under county comments, county resident comments and concerns this morning for a public hearing for any of those that wish to speak to it. And we had one individual in attendance that spoke in favor. We are now going to open it up again for a public hearing for those that may have saw the agenda and realized it would be taking place later on. And so at this time, we will open up the public hearing and specific to the liquor license for 374 Liquors. And if there's anyone online or in the audience that would like to speak to this matter, we generally limit it to 3 minutes. We ask that you come up, introduce yourself, and the floor is open. Good morning.
Good morning. I am Christy Lucero. My husband and I and family live 20 feet from that building. Sorry, my anxiety is really getting to me. I can't imagine why in our county we need another establishment like this when Man's Face Liquor does the exact same thing. High-end alcohol, wine, they'll order in any specific, anything that you're requesting. They do tastings in town. Why in our area where we chose to live, where we can have our children raised in a more safe, quiet atmosphere along with our livestock, our 4-H animals, without having to fear somebody coming in, vandalizing, running into our property, trying to walk in thinking that we're all as one, because that's who Bob Ferguson was when he did it. All 4 of those properties were his. We've had UTLX out there. I don't mind that. I don't mind businesses. I'm all for businesses. I work for a small business. I've worked for multiple. Why a liquor store in a residential area or a liquor license in a residential area? Especially when our children's windows are 20 feet from their property. I just don't understand. I don't understand why we need more. I mean, DUI rates are already high and we're going to add more. Why not add something else to the area? I worked law enforcement. I did 911 dispatching. I have been around a lot of this. And the things that I've heard, obviously, it's hearsay. It's he said, she said. But none of what he has mentioned has been even spoken to any of us neighbors. He has not tried to contact us, which I think would have been an appropriate attempt. If I'm going to have a business, I'm going to walk door to door. I'm going to give my plan. I'm going to ask them their thoughts. I'm going to explain myself and not have all of us have to come to a meeting like this where it could cause anxiety like I'm having right now. I mean, door to door is just fine. When we met Spencer Barry, he told my husband and I that it would be storage facility for now for personal reasons. And now all of a sudden, there's a liquor license where I literally heard from my boss, barely saw it in the newspaper because I had him I had him send that to me. There was no communication with us as residents. It was posted in the one place that needed to be posted, which is fine. I just don't think it's fair to have my livestock, my family 20 feet from a shipping establishment, a liquor store, when there's one literally in Green River that does the exact same thing, minus the wine shipping. And then I know there's a couple others that want to address it. It's hard to imagine passing something like this that close to a house. And I don't believe our hillside has the capability. We don't have lights. We don't have sidewalks. We don't have roadway markings. What are we going to end up having to deal with people that don't know and aren't familiar with our area? Traffic wise, walking around wise, driving. I have 2 teenage kids and an 11-year-old. So clearly, I mean, we're right there. We're backing out. Where do people park? There's not a lot of parking for an establishment like that. Where's the parking going to overflow? Is it going to overflow into our driveway, which has happened before? Is it going to block us from leaving and coming? We're on a dead end. Where we park is on a dead end of a county road. We have one way in and one way out, and it's right past that building.
Very good.
Okay.
Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
comments. Thank you.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, but thankfully not at 455 Charles. My name is Desiree Gomez. I am a resident of Jamestown and I live just down the hillside from the proposed location. Last week I emailed you all a letter. I'm not sure if it's been reviewed, so I would like to read it again during the public comment and then ask a few questions just a few questions about this liquor license and what it's proposing. Let me be perfectly clear. Placing a liquor business at this location is reckless, unnecessary, and completely incompatible with the character of the surrounding neighborhood. Approving this license sends a clear message that concerns and safety of residents are secondary to the commercial convenience. That would be an unacceptable stance for any responsible licensing body. The burden this establishment would place on the neighborhood, the noise, the increased traffic, the late night activity, possibly. He said 9 to 5. However, I've never been to a wine tasting during 9 to 5. They've always been in the evenings. The heightened potential for alcohol-related incidents, it's not speculative, it's predictable, it's preventable, and it's entirely incompatible with the character and safety of this community. Across the street from 455 Charles is a vacant property, a property that we were once interested until I just learned about this liquor license. Who wants to put a house with a family right across from the liquor business? That's not why we're out here in Jamestown. This area is home to families, young children who play outside daily, livestock that rely on a calm, predictable environment. Introducing a liquor establishment here creates increased traffic, the noise, late night activity, or even just the daytime activity there, and disturbances mere steps away from the home, not only next door, but to the residents who live in that same area. The notion that this community needs another liquor store is simply not supported by reality. There are already at least 4 liquor stores within a 2-mile radius of this location. Rolling Green Country Club. You have Love's Truck Stop. You have the Travel Camp. And then just right here in Green River on the west end of town, sell liquor there too. You come further in, we've got Badass Breweries. There's another establishment right down the road from that. All the bars we have further into town. I mean, I counted 17, not including that new gambling place next door to the elementary schools. So that many within, I mean, we now up to a 5-mile radius. Jamestown, the sign reflects 474 for the population, which I believe you guys said something, 1 liquor license per 500 residents. So there's already 3 out there. And with Maverick, I'm assuming going to be 4. Then we get to the bus stops. The bus stop is right there on the corner of Charles and Palisade, right at the proposed liquor establishment, and then further up the road. So elementary, middle school, and high school all utilize that road. As you guys are aware, I hope, there are no streetlights, there are no sidewalks, there are no paved roads. There's no, the parking out there, if you pull up, like I did on the GIS map through the county, you have 65 feet for the road. The building, if you look at their little map or the little guideline for the measurements, where could be a parking lot, which would be in front of the garage where they said the loading dock would be, or their shipping. There's maybe 15 to 20 feet right there. And then you're leading into the neighbor next door who lives 20 feet away. The front of their property, as reflected on the GIS map, is right on the cliffside. So you can't drive all the way around it. The parking up front, if you've been there, you said you had your glass changed there, you know it's narrow. You come around the side where the post office, where their post box is. I'm a former mail carrier there. It gets congested. I cannot imagine having more than, if he has 2 workers and him or his business partner there, plus even 3 or 4 patrons, where are they going to park at? Block the road, park on the highway, park at the neighbor's house. So, allowing a liquor establishment at 455 Charles would show a blatant disregard for the well-being of residents who expect their homes and their children to be protected from exactly this type of inappropriate commercial intrusion. I am urging this board to do what is responsible and necessary and deny this license. Do not undermine the safety, character, and stability of this neighborhood for a business that can easily be located somewhere else more suited for this type of operation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Still open. It is limited to 3 minutes, so we're going to tighten the gap here.
Hi, I'm Alicia Dean. I'm a business owner here in town. I'm also a property landlord out in Jamestown. I'll keep it short. Y'all got my email. It had a bunch of statutes in there, lots of bulletin points about why I think this is reckless and should be denied. If you guys didn't get a copy of it, I can definitely provide you one, but it's basically everything Desiree just said. It's not a good idea. Maybe if it was being applied for an off premises only, since its main capabilities are supposed to be shipping and warehouse. But where it's on premises, it is that long-term skepticism there. It is also just a big problem when it comes to, again, wine tastings don't happen at 3 o'clock. They also happen on the weekend. These hours are for Monday and Friday, and I know you guys can revoke this in the future, but I would like to just not even run into this issue. I live right around the corner. My landlord property is also right around the corner. My tenant is very upset already, so that puts a financial burden to me. I also just bought that property, so I didn't buy it knowing that there was going to be a liquor establishment possibly going in there. I'm all for supporting businesses. You guys know that. I volunteer all over the place. I am a business owner. I want to see people thrive, but this just isn't the spot for it, I don't believe. So please take that into consideration.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Still under public comment. If there's anyone that would like to speak to the liquor license proposed. Last call. No pun intended. Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public comment portion. Commissioners, I'll open it up for further discussion or questions.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Richards.
I want to acknowledge and respect the concerns raised by the nearby residents, and I appreciate their participation in the process. At the same time, my responsibility as a county commissioner is to apply Wyoming law and our zoning regulations fairly and consistently. Property in question is zoned commercial. I heard comments that it's a residential neighborhood, but it is a mixed neighborhood that does have commercial zoning with it. And the license being applied for, including on-premise alcohol sales, is an approved and lawful use under our current zoning. I don't subscribe to the not in my backyard approach to government. Property owners have the right to use their land as permitted by zoning, even when that use is unpopular. As someone who holds multiple liquor licenses myself, I have firsthand experience that properly managed alcohol establishments don't inherently harm neighborhoods or property values. 2 of my 3 liquor licenses are either bordering residential areas or within a short walk. While public concern is an important consideration, it has to be grounded in evidence rather than speculation. And in the absence of demonstrable statutory or public safety harm, I don't believe it's appropriate to deny a lawful application simply because some oppose the location. We have a lot of permits come before us and a lot of reasons that people oppose them. One of the arguments I heard is we don't need another liquor establishment, but that's not what the licensing process or authority is about. It's not about need. It's about managing a resource, and that resource is liquor licenses. Yes, there are other people who do this in other places, but it's not our job as the government to pick and choose who competes in one or 2 industries. Yes, the standard is 1 license for 500 people, but the point of that isn't to say we can only have 1 license in a community of 500 people. It's a general number that is used to determine the number of licenses. Every year, the legislature readdresses that, and there's a lot of pressure, especially in other parts of the state, to add more licenses to that mix. For what this gentleman wants to do, a full retail license is the appropriate license for his business plan. If he wanted to run a bar and grill, then I think he would probably be in here applying for a restaurant license or a bar and grill license. I know that on my own liquor licenses, when I remember, I always check on and off premise. Even though I am only a package liquor store, I like to have distilleries come in and do tastings of their products, and you can't do that without having that box checked on your license. A full retail liquor license is the all-encompassing license. Once you've issued it, it basically becomes a property. They're valuable. And if we don't give this license to Mr. Nemec and his partner through their company, somebody else is going to be here knocking on the door to get that license. I also heard a couple people make the comments that Maverick's going in down the road and they're probably going to get a license also. This would be that license. If we don't issue this license now, then we will have Maverick or another operator probably looking for the same, in the same area, coming to get a license. If we do issue this license now, barring any change from the legislature, there is no more full retail license to issue a store that goes in down the street in the neighborhood. So it's tough, but with that in mind, I intend to vote in support of issuance of this license.
Commissioner Jones?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've given this a lot of thought, and I agree with Commissioner Richards. First of all, thanks for coming forward. Your input is certainly valuable. Looking around the county and thinking about the 500 people per license, which their permit, I guess, does not mean that you have to have 500 people in that particular area, but Superior and Granger come to mind. And they have bars right near schools, post offices, residence areas, across the street from a residential area. So I'm not sure as a government, as the county government, that we can really pick winners and losers and say, this guy gets to do it, but the other guy doesn't get to do the same exact thing. So for some of those reasons, and just thinking about the county as a whole and what's gone on, what's currently in the county, I'm in support.
Commissioner Slaughter?
Mr. Chairman, this is one of those issues that I think deserves an awful lot of thought. Obviously, each of us have done research, and we have tried to come up with what we believe is the best solution for this. It's something that's been kind of difficult because this is something I didn't hear anything about until a week ago. So it's been kind of a cram session to try and learn what our obligations are here and what is going to take place if we do grant this liquor license. There are several factors that I think are pertinent, one of which is the fact that this is the last retail liquor license which we have available currently. We have 11 out there right now. This would be our 12th and final. I think that does have some bearing with how we handle these issues. I'm not sure exactly how, but I think that it is a pertinent fact. In reading the statute, as the governing body, we have basically 5 different reasons that we can deny this license. In reading through them, I'm not sure that we meet the burden of proof on them. Once again, as was previously stated, this is a property that is currently a commercial designated property. I think it's very unfortunate that it butts up as closely as what it does to residential areas. But if we take the applicant at his word, which I think we have to do, I think there will be minimal impact in the area, possibly less than what maybe some people anticipate. It's just one of those things that is, there are always going to be people who are affected positively and negatively by these decisions. But this is one of those that once again, I'm going to have to fall on the side for the applicant, I believe. I think that he has done everything that is necessary. And I believe that it's basically our obligation to grant this application.
Mr. Tillman?
Well, I agree with what everyone has said, but I also agree with the people who live next to it. And I would like to see Mr. Nemec be able to get a license, but I would hope that he could find one of the other vacant buildings in the county, so he would not have these issues. And I know that's a hard decision when you own the property. So I guess I will vote against it just because of the conversations I've had with the residents.
So first off, thanks for coming over and participating in the process. And yes, we got the emails, so thanks for those as well. I actually wasn't even aware of it until you sent the email. So thanks for being involved in the process. These are difficult because everyone has personal interests, and that makes it certainly challenging for us to not be able to appease everyone sitting up here. I think, you try and reason with both sides. I don't think the county, and government has a say in what business should and shouldn't come, to Sweetwater County, and what makes a liquor store any different than a glass store or whatever the case is. Obviously, they're two very different businesses, but we are statutorily bound by basically our powers in that. When I initially had the conversation with Mr. Nemec, my understanding was it was simply a liquor store only. Obviously being in a residential area, I can understand those opposed to it with some of the concerns that come forth with that. And it sounds like now we're looking at an on and off premise. The zoning's been that way. And so the commercial does allow for that. I'd like to think Mr. Nemec can be trusted for his word in that regard of not establishing, a bar, so to speak. But I'm curious, and this is probably a question for legal. Are there sidebars that can be placed on the approval of this application? My purpose of asking that is because of the uniqueness of it being the final license. And once it's issued, if it is approved, that changes the entire process once we get to the renewal stage. And so, it seems as though it's a legitimate wine tasting. The hours are 9 to 5. It's a Monday through Friday. But what's to say that that can't change once this is approved? Because once it's an on and off premise, that can then be transferred, I believe, if I understand the statute properly, to a different location, which can then be a bar. But what's to say that warehouse doesn't get remodeled into a bar, if you understand what I'm getting at with that, and that the hours are changed. And once that initial issuance of the permit takes place, then the renewal process sort of changes those powers, and that the Board of County Commissioners have the authority to renew it, but then it can also open up an appeal process. And so it seems as though we're in a little bit of a unique spot to decipher, the issuance of the permit at this stage in the game.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, you are correct, Mr. Chairman, that if you make an approval that is just that, an approval as is, then it does not have any limitations per se. If you make an approval with specific limitations, then any renewal would be based on those specific limitations. So the case law reads that when the section speaks of the renewal of a license, it speaks of one which contains the same terms and conditions as the old license, namely one which permits whatever permissions you approve. And so if there's a denial of the license which has different conditions in the future, then it doesn't contain the same limitation, the same appellate rights. So if, for example, if you put limitations on now, they submitted a new license, had different requests beyond the limitations that you provide, then that would essentially be the issuance of a new license. So if you wanted to have any specific limitations in place and not to create, not so that any expansion would not have the same renewal rights, then you would want to put those conditions on now. So there's been discussions. Those discussions are pure evidence. It's not the final decision. So for example, the statement, when you talk about the 9 to 5 timeframe, the application itself says 10 to 2. And so if you wanted to make a specific time to be consistent with the applicant, then you would want to adopt the applicant's time frame. If you preferred to simply approve the application in blanket form, you certainly can do that. And that's your right to do that. And it would then just contain renewal rights as a blanket approval. So you have the ability to discuss with the applicant any conditions that are being submitted, or make the approval in general.
Okay. And so on that note, I mean, on behalf of the applicant's standpoint, let's say we put conditions on the approval, business succeeds and does well, and they want to relocate, and they then want to do more of a bar setting, they would have the ability to reapply for that license that has been granted under new conditions.
Correct.
Okay.
If they're doing well, they could say, hey, you know what, this is, we see some opportunities, and they could certainly submit variation from the original conditions or terms that are on the original license.
Okay. So I'm just going to state that I feel better. I think that satisfies a little bit of both concerns if the applicant is amenable to that. That was my original understanding, is that it was being opened as a more top shelf liquor store, if you will. And obviously we've got amended business hours that have been proposed, which are different from the application. It seems logical to me that the intent is to not have a bar. We heard that directly. And so putting sidebars on that, I don't think harms anything. It probably gives some reassurance to some of the concerns that we've heard. And if business takes off, they have the opportunity to come back and ask for additional, I guess, options on that. So from my perspective, I feel better about some amendment to the application that has been discussed, but Commissioner Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think I need a little clarification on my comments possibly, but when I was comparing the communities around here that have actual bars, I do understand that Mr. Nemec and his partner are not wanting to have a bar, but I'm just trying to point out that these situations do function, and they do function well. At least has been brought to our attention that there are failures in other areas. So that was my reasoning.
Additional comments, Commissioner Slaughter?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just a clarification. I like the concept that you've got of putting the sidebars on. Is it something that we can do with the current application, or would we be better off having the applicant submit a new application with the corrected hours, and then putting a condition that under the current licensing, it would not be able to operate as a bar? Or is it something that we could just amend with the current application?
I believe we can amend it currently, especially with the applicant agreeing to such. So I believe we can approve it as applied. We can approve it with amendments, or we could also table it or postpone it for further clarity, or for any language that we want added to it, or if we don't have that available. I believe those are the options, or to deny it as well.
Thank you.
Mr.
Did I get that?
Mr. Chairman, I would just offer the option when you said to table, you could table or postpone so that you're not under any time constraints if you chose that road.
Okay. Mr. Tolman?
Well, I think you've already clarified it, but just to protect the owner's business rights. So you're saying that he could get that established there, but if he could find another facility where he could expand to open bar or whatever, he would have that option to be able to do that. So this would be guaranteeing that he would get the license before it's gone, but he could move it to another property with our permission, right?
He would need permission to be able to do that. The right is for the location. And so
Oh.
if the business were doing well, and there was opportunities at that business to be able to expand the hours, have a bar, things of that nature. Those would be things that he could ask to be able to have those conditions removed.
Or he could move it to a new location with permission. Could he move it to a new location?
I don't know that he could remove it to a new location. That part,
Oh.
I'm,
Mr. Chairman, if I can jump in, liquor licenses are transferable with the permission of the licensing authority. We are that licensing authority.
So it could be moved, like if you got a bigger building somewhere else that you know, would give you more opportunity to expand and do other things, then you could come to us and ask for a transfer of location. Like the Log Inn, they sold, but they didn't sell their liquor license, so that one's going to come up for a move of location.
I would just note, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, that the rights attached to renewal. So the statute does specifically address issuance, renewal, or transferring. So 3 different actions there. And the rights to appeal are very specific to renewal. It does not specifically address the issuance, and it doesn't specifically address being transferred in that particular right to appeal. So there is a distinction between that liquor license's right, appellate rights, relative to a transfer. So it's not quite as automatic as the same right doesn't attach for a transfer as attaches to a renewal.
Additional comments? I would ask what your pleasure is.
I would recommend we table it till the next meeting.
And Mr. Chairman, I apologize, I don't mean to interrupt. Commissioner Toman, your options would be, on that motion, would be to table and or postpone. Postpone doesn't have the same time limit attached. And so the only reason I mentioned that is because if the motion's purpose is to amend the application, those applications are generally submitted to the state, then there is giving them the opportunity to receive that. I could see the potential where you as a board may not necessarily have that on the first meeting in January. You might have that potentially at the second meeting in January.
So John, I would say my motion would be to postpone it until the amended application has been processed, so we get all the correct information before we vote on it. That would be my motion.
That is a motion.
Yes.
I have a motion by Commissioner Toman to postpone the issuance of the liquor license for 374 Liquor LLC. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, is that debatable?
I believe so.
Mr. Chairman, I don't think we need to postpone this. I think council told us that with our motion to approve, we can put sidebars on it. We're only talking about 2 specific ones, and that is to change the days of the week operating from or it's marked every day to Monday through Friday, and changing the hours of operation from 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. to 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. I don't think that's a change that we really need to kick around for a couple weeks or a month while we let the applicant languish. I appreciate the fact that we now want to discuss how we want to use our last license, but that's a discussion we probably needed to have before somebody properly applied for it. So I'll be a no vote on tabling. I'd like to dispose of this and let the applicant start moving forward with his business.
Further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I agree with Commissioner Richards with one slight amendment. I also believe that there should be a sideboard put on that this establishment will not operate as a full-scale bar, in addition to the change on the days of the week and the hours of operation. So I will be voting against the current motion.
I need a little help with this, John. So I'm in agreement with Commissioner Slaughter. How can we put that language into the amendment? So we obviously have the money through Friday. We have the time. That in itself kind of indicates more or less not a bar, but it still doesn't restrict it from being a bar. What does that language look like? That they can operate on an on or off premise status, although they can't operate as a bar. I mean, how do you you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
How do you clarify that?
I was, looking a little bit to the applicant for that language as well. That would be the advantage of having that in the application itself. So it specifically made that declaration, but I certainly, invite discussion with the applicant on how to best word that and clarify that.
That's why I asked for the postponement, so we have time to get it right.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure that through the application we can limit that. And as for sidebars for not allowing a bar, I don't know that there's enough words in the English language to try to explain that in a motion. I think I would actually hesitate to even go down that road simply because of how complicated that language would have to be, because I don't know that we have a legal definition for a bar versus a wine tasting versus a distillery tasting. What we have is a full retail license that allows on-premise and off-premise serving. I think we're going to limit his hours, and that's going to limit the type of business he can run there. I think that's probably effective enough without really getting into the weeds. Wyoming doesn't have a package-only license, doesn't exist in the statutes. This is the language that a package retailer needs to have. And this license allows for on-premise, off-premise, or a combination. And if you want to do tastings, you have to do on-premise. And that's what Wyoming's legal definitions allow for. So I'm still against postponing it, because I don't think we can wordsmith that kind of language, but the tools we have within the application itself are the hours that we can restrict them.
Did you want to add anything, Mr. Nemec? Okay, so any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I just think that's the reason for the postponement, is to get the application correct. Is that what you were trying to kind of get at, John?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Jones, you certainly have, I think both positions are available to you as a board. You certainly can have it explicitly identified in the application so that there's no debate about those limitations. You can also, as Commissioner Richards identified, you can, I think those have been the statements of the applicant, that those are the timeframes. So I think you have both of those options available to you, and it's your decision as a board if you want to take a moment to see that in black and white, or if you want to take into consideration some of the points that Commissioner Richards identified in terms of moving forward and making a decision today.
I would just prefer to see it clean. That's all. That's my.
Additional? No?
Mr. Chairman, once again, I don't believe that we really need to postpone if the intent is simply to have the language changed for the days of the week and the hours. I think that can be done currently. I think that the applicant has submitted that he would be willing to do that. So I would still, at this point in time, not believe that we necessarily need a postponement.
Okay, so we do have a motion and a second on the table to postpone the application. All those in favor of the postponement indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
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 Motion passes 3-2. This application has been postponed. Appreciate all the discussion and feedback. Sounds like we got a little back and forth to do on that, and we will revisit it accordingly. This is going to move us right along into item number 12, which is the public records fee discussion. We'll hand it back to Clerk Swenson. I'm going to get that right.
I'm still getting used to it too, telling you. Okay, so what I have before you, thank you, Commissioner, Chairman, Commissioners. A lot of the counties around the state have, each county has adopted a public records fee resolution of what the county can charge when people put in a public record that goes beyond your typical, yes, I have that, I send it right in to the person requested. I am the public records person for Sweetwater County, so they do get sent to me. Every elected office does have their own set of fees that we're allowed to have for their per statute. This is only in regards to public records when the requests come in, for example, for us to research results from 1950 to today, and it gives us, we have to get IT involved, we have to get other professionals involved to get that information. So this, right now, we're just using what the Secretary of State has on their website. To be honest, we haven't had any that have gone over any criteria where we've had to charge, but I don't want to wait till that happens. I'd like to follow suit and have Sweetwater County adopt our own set of fees. I have sent this out to the elected officials and the department heads for Sweetwater County. I did not get any negative feedback. I did get a couple grammar corrections from Mr. Davis, which was very helpful. I had forgotten to take something out. I had it in there twice. So we did get that corrected, and we just like to, I just need some direction on if I can move forward with a notice of intent, which follows the, I need glasses, the Wyoming Administrative Procedures Act, which allows me to put out a notice of intent, gives us 45 days for the public to send in comments, and then we would have a public hearing at the end of that 45 days with a resolution with a number for you to vote for or against putting these fees in place.
Mr. Chairman, I'm in support of this. Conservation District did this like 10 years ago. We adopted one because you get a lot of these frivolous requests that take a lot of time and money.
Any other thoughts, Commissioner Slaughter?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just a question. Clerk Swenson, it's a little bit confusing to me with respect to the fact that if someone were to make a public records request in the county assessor's office for a record that they could potentially make a copy of and give to the person or something like that, that they would have to then go to you as the designated official of public records to have that authorized. Is that how you see this, or am I adding a step into this that maybe is not necessarily true?
Actually, that's currently how it is. As the public records person, I have a form when other people, sometimes the sheriff, we do a lot for the sheriff's office, get requests. They send them to me as the public records person for the county that was assigned to me. I have them fill out a form, and then the information is gathered so that I can make sure that the request is fulfilled. And that way the ombudsman for the state doesn't get involved in just making sure we keep it in a timely manner and meet the statute requirements we have of the 7 days response and up to 30 days depending. So Sometimes I think we just do, if it's something that is
Well, maybe-
easily accessible, then.
Yeah, I'm
people
thinking of
send it.
things that are not necessarily what you're considering public records requests, but as the treasurer, I mean, there were times that we had requests for documents that we would allow people to have copies and we would make copies. I realize you're the ombudsman currently, and it just seems to me like this is adding a step that might be a little bit more difficult, but you say that you've brought this to the attention of the other elected officials. They don't have a problem. So I just wanted to question that. So I'm out in left field. So thank you.
No, we had a lot of discussion on this prior. This is like my research in my office as the clerk's office. I have certain statutory, like I can charge 25 cents for a copy, certain things like that. They're statutory to my office. And then this is basically for those larger requests that come in, and we need to gather information from different agencies or different offices. Sometimes it involves more than one office.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Okay, I'm sorry, I was multitasking there. The
That's okay.
process, you're looking for permission to move forward with.
A notice
being
of
able-
intent.
Okay, got it. Everyone good with that? I think you have our blessing.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Come back in
Appreciate it.
45 days.
That's gonna bring us to our final item.
Mr. Chairman, just a clarification.
Kidding?
When she said there will be a notice of intent, the first part is oftentimes a discussion element before the WAPA kicks in. The second part, so that this was the discussion part. You've had 3 different WAPA scenarios today, so oftentimes the first part is just a discussion with you as a board. And then the second part is the notice of intent, which usually comes at one of the following 2 meetings. And then from there, after you as a board approve the notice of intent, then there's a 45-day period. And following that 45 period, you saw what you saw this morning from Director Bingham, which is a certification of a hearing and then a certification of that notice of intent language. So this is step 1, discussion. Step 2 would be a notice of intent here in one next couple meetings. Step 3 would be 45 days, a certification if you approve it.
Okay.
Sorry about this. It's my first fees of any sorts in 7 years, so it's pretty good. I don't know the WAPA thing yet.
We're getting
So
pretty
we'll
used
get
to
there.
it,
We'll get
so.
there. Thank you.
Thank you. It's going to bring us to the final item under tab D, which is item number 13, the Events Complex Fair Board appointments. One is an expiring term of Tommy Toman, who is up for reappointment. I'd entertain a motion to reappoint Tommy Toman to a 5-year term to the Events Complex Fair Board.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Richards. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion on the appointment? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. The second opening is what I spoke about in my commissioner comments. We had Janet Hartford complete her 2nd term, and as such, that opens up the opportunity for a new appointee. Kind of unique in the events complex in that it's more of a fun board to serve on, and so it's a little easier to find applicants. And we had 11 on file that came through as liaison. I'll tell you, it was pretty difficult. There's a lot of good people that have tremendous backgrounds that I think would be a great addition to the fair board. After reviewing them numerous times, I just trying to kind of plan for the future and the things that the events complex has with their master planning efforts, and an attempt to make a more well-rounded board, not a more well-rounded, but just a good mix of dynamics on the board. I'd entertain a motion to appoint Dawn Atkinson to serve a 1st term on the Events Complex Fair Board.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Jones. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Richards. Any discussion on the appointment? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. And certainly appreciate all of those who applied and encourage you to continue. And we do keep those on file for 2 years. So as openings come up, we will certainly be reaching out. With that, Commissioners, that concludes the regular business before us today. We do have under the amended agenda a need to enter into executive session for the purpose of potential litigation. There will not be any action upon coming out. And with that, I'd entertain a motion accordingly.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Toman. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Slaughter. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. We're now in executive. Entertain a motion to come out of executive session and reconvene the meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Jones, is there a second? Second by Commissioner Richards. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. We're out of executive. There is no action to be taken. So commissioners, with no further business to come before this board, we wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we'll see you on the 6th. This meeting stands adjourned.